You're listening to the Dice Tower Network, the home of smart people, insightful board gaming commentary, and the happy mittens. Find out more at dicetowernetwork.com.
Party Gamecast will show you what to play, giving you ideas when you don't know what to do or say. Party Gamecast, it's all fun and games, we'll show you new ideas to play. Party Gamecast, having fun is easy when you know what games to play. Party Gamecast will show you what to play, giving you ideas so you can party away.
Welcome to episode number 75 of the Party Gamecast, featuring the Party Gamecast, podcast about party games and games you take to parties. I'm your moderator, Bruce. Thank you so much for listening. In just a minute, we're going to be talking about the large player number pre-programmed movement games, the Dragon and Flagon and Crazy Karts, from our friends at Board Games Insider. From Stephen Bonacore and Ignacy Trevicek, the show where too many vowels meets too many consonants, we will soon be talking about their games. And remember, check their show out, a proud member of the Dice Tower Network, dicetowernetwork.com. They give you all the inside information in the board game industry. If you feel that is a thing you need, gosh darn it, they are more than prepared to give it to you. Remember, Dice Tower Network cares. As a quick note for all of us, if you're just listening to this as it comes out, you have like a day or two if you want to be a part of it. We're going to be at WashingCon, Washington, D.C.'s own tabletop gaming event, September 10th and 11th this weekend, this Saturday and Sunday. I will be there, Mike will be there, Mom will be there, Rocky will be there, Brian will be there. The five of us will be there at some point during the event. We're going to go on the Metro, most of us. We're going to pack kind of light. So if there's a game you really want to play with us, if you're out there in the Twitterverse and you know there's one you want to hear, please let us know. We will bring it with us. But beyond that, we're not going to carry a ton of stuff with us. We will have a microphone so we can record some with the foods. Hopefully we'll have a little bit of snack stuff with us. We're prepared to do a couple of interviews. And then what we might do is something crazy. So this one's coming out late because of the holiday. And I felt like just sort of being lazy rather than making this, which I know if you're a regular listener, that should scare you because you think that is the beginning of all of the dominoes tumbling. And I promise it's not. It's just I had the holiday and I felt like doing the holiday thing and barbecuing and being around people. That having been said, we might be sneaking an extra episode in. Normally these come out once every 3 weeks, and normally between episodes, we do kind of a little episode in the middle, either a what the food, or some kind of review thing, or one of our, like the Olympic thing that the International Games thing that we did. We might actually just put an extra episode in the middle. 76 might be a shortened episode where we talk about what we did at WashingCon and kind of put some of the WashingCon interviews and all that kind of stuff in there. So I reserve the right to do that between what normally would have been 75 this episode and 76 the next one. There might be a 76 in the middle, and 77 will be our next full episode with all the folks and the games and the things. So we might sneak one in the middle, or we might just make episode number 76 one where we talk about our time at WashingCon. Either way, we will be telling you how it went from there, but we'd love to see you there. That's at the Georgetown University Hotel and Conference Center. They say doors open at 10 a.m. each day. I forget the closing times. I was trying to find it on the website. I'm sure that it tells me, but I am terrible at that kind of stuff, so I don't really think you can blame me. We will hopefully see you there. We are also going to begin kicking off. I'll talk to you more about it in the final ad break, but we are putting our team together for Extra Life. It is that season where all of the podcasters and various media personalities beg you to be a part of their team, and we are going to follow suit. Because if nothing else, we are good at doing the same thing everybody else does. We will be doing a live event again this year at the Board and Brew in beautiful College Park, Maryland. I will give you more details. We've actually teamed up with Break My Game. Break My Game is a game group in the local Baltimore, D.C. metropolitan area that helps game designers get together with game testers so that they can figure out how to break their games and make better games with that. So we are teaming up with them. They're going to have a bunch of events. We're going to have a bunch of events. We're all going to do it there. I will give you the rest of the details on how exactly that will work. We'd love for you to join our team. There is a link in our show notes. It will be the Party Gamecast / Break My Game team. So we have decided to form together like Voltron to make a better force to help children. And that seems like a good thing to do. So once again, everything you need to know. Number 1, Remember, please, if you can, if you'd like to, join us at WashingCon. We would love to see you. Also, remember, we are getting ready for Extra Life. Yes, I know there's a contest. Yes, we're going to deal with it later. Right now, we're going to jump into the episode. Welcome to episode number 75 of the Party Game Cast, featuring the Party Game Cast, a podcast about party games and games you take to parties, or a game about pre-programmed movement. It could be that, too. That could be what this show is. I'm your moderator, Bruce. Joining me in this episode is Rocky.
Hey.
Hey. Brian.
What's up?
Nothing much, Brian. That's you're the second person. It's
I know.
The next person, Mike's supposed to.
I'm not trying to steal this.
It sounds like you're
saying, hey,
trying to. No, you're just.
We're not doing this.
That sounds
Stop
like we're
doing this.
Okay. And Mike.
God, that was unnecessary.
Yeah, it really was.
I don't know what's going on here.
I mean, nobody can see what's happening here, so if you did, it would make more sense, I guess.
No.
But it makes for awesome podcasts, though, right now.
This is good radio.
Yeah.
Speaking of awesome podcasts and good radio, welcome. Woo! And you say we don't change things, people out there that don't actually say those things. We do mix it up, gosh darn it. We're going to stop that mixing it up stuff because we're going to get topical.
Ooh,
I know. So, lately, the main topic that is kind of crossing the game world, other than all the important stuff, is how much stuff Target is getting. Target is really becoming an actual gaming destination all over this fine country. They're getting all kinds of exclusives that belong only to them. A lot of people have talked about sort of the Asmodee deal, where now Asmodee has bought everything. And they wonder, how will this change our gaming world? And I'll tell you how. Target gets a ton of exclusives now. We're not necessarily talking about any of those. We're going to talk about one that's part of our contest. Remember, for another week or so, you can still enter with hashtag I listen to the Party Gamecast featuring the Party Gamecast.
The world's greatest hashtag.
The world's greatest hashtag. For a chance to win the Oregon Trail card game, an exclusive at Target. So important to Target. They didn't put it as a sticker on the box. They printed it on the back of the box so it can never be removed.
Only at Target.
Yeah, normally it's a sticker on the outside of the cellophane.
Yep. And now it's printed on the box so that in, I'm going to say, 7 months, when you get this at a thrift store, you'll know exactly where it came from.
Yeah.
So, this is really hard to get right now and is a prize in our contest.
That's hard to get.
This is sold out everywhere, Mike.
Wow.
All of the
Oh,
nostalgia.
Yeah.
All
Yeah.
of it.
There was
Thank-
a lot of nostalgia.
My Facebook
Thank-
blew up when we posted a picture.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
And people are still posting like pictures of the Shelf Talker with no copies of it. Like, I went to my local Target and I was unable to get it. Thanks to our other secret benefactor, we have like 3 of these now. So we're giving some stuff away. If you remember to hashtag I listen to the Party Gamecast featuring the Party Gamecast. Also send it to us on the Twitter.
At Party Gamecast.
You could to the cat. He doesn't really care though, but he's at.
I'm not sure the cat will enter you into the contest.
He will not.
He's kind of a jerk.
He is
but-
definitely a
He's
jerk.
not kind of a
but-
jerk.
well, yeah,
he's a jerk.
He's a jerk. At Party Game Cat.
At Party Game Cat. So we have played this, and a lot of people were asking when they saw our copy, hey guys, what's that game like? And every time I kept saying, just remember to hashtag I listen to the Party Gamecast featuring the Party Gamecast, and they go, yeah, I know it's a contest, Bruce, but how is the game actually?
So you remember way back when you had your Apple IIe and you put that floppy disk in and that green and black screen lit up and you were so excited and you named everyone on your party, you got all the supplies and you got your job and you're set out from the fort and immediately everyone dies? Just like that.
You remember this game being a lot of fun? You were wrong. It was a lot of fun for being in a classroom where you could have been doing schoolwork.
I still
It is a lot better than schoolwork.
Yes.
Yeah, it's better than third grade schoolwork.
I
Maybe.
still enjoy it. I'm not sure why.
Neither am I.
I'm not sure why you did either
I don't
because you
know.
were dead
I don't know.
early.
Maybe because I very much enjoyed the game that much, like the computer game that much. But, I mean, it does simulate how horrifically difficult the journey to Oregon was.
It certainly does that. And if you were thinking, here's what I want out of $15 card game sold at the Target by Pressman, who I think largely is a coloring book and puzzle company.
Dysentery? That's what you want.
Dysentery.
Because the game wasn't necessarily to be as entertainment as much as it was supposed to be educational.
You're right.
Edutainment.
It was
Edutainment.
It was not meant to be entertainment. So on to our game.
Yeah, and at that, it succeeded incredibly well.
Here's the thing I think we need to know, we've talked about this, is that the Oregon Trail was supposed to be something of a simulation of taking the long and arduous trip to Oregon. You're absolutely right. And then people have asked, is this game also a simulation of that long trip to Oregon, or is it a simulation of playing a video game about the long trip to Oregon? Rock, if you'd like to field that one.
Well, in the computer game, you didn't watch as the game continued without you.
I don't know what you're talking about, Rocky.
Yes.
Yeah, because one person played all the people.
Yes, so you still guided what was left of the party back.
And you could tell your classmates that they had just died of dysentery.
Yes, and you would point and laugh, ha ha ha. And, but here, if you die, you're just out of the game. Now, on the flip side of the coin, I found myself rooting for, I think there was a game where just Mike was alone
Yes.
with his oxen.
I almost made it.
And I was really rooting for you because I found it fun to watch you fight the odds and try and make it.
So let's let you know some things about the game. It does begin with a dry erase board where you write the names of your party. The back of the dry erase board is the inevitable collection of tombstones that you are definitely going to need.
Although they do suggest you write witty things on them, but the Sharpie is too fat and the tombstones are too small.
Yeah, you can fit like a name and one
And that's
other
it.
word.
R.I.P.
Yeah.
I think I also made sure I hashtagged it when Brian died because I thought that really gave us the...
There was some scribble on there when I died in the second round of the first game.
How'd you die?
Awesome. Dysentery.
Oh.
I died both games on the second round of dysentery. I got to play one card, and then the second card I played killed me of dysentery.
My very first turn on the second game, dysentery.
And
Yeah,
she
you beat
likes
me
this
on that
game.
Yeah, and then you get to watch everyone else play for 40 minutes. I went and had ice cream.
So you know what we
I had
learned?
ice cream and watched.
Yeah.
We learned that Rocky likes dysentery.
So the game begins with a card of Independence, Missouri, and a card of Willamette Valley, Oregon, and you put them 3 feet apart. And this is important because you're going to have to make it with cards the 3 feet you need to go. You will extend through 5 cards, and there are a couple different decks. There's a deck of trail cards, a deck of supply cards, a deck of calamity cards. Trail cards are the physical trail you're going to build, including forts and stores and things you'll need. Calamity cards are the things that hurt you and will inevitably end your game, sometimes with just a single card for no good reason, and you cannot stop it because Oregon. And then there's the supply cards, which are the things that could stop most, but not all, of the aforementioned calamity cards. One of the things I find hilarious about this game is you're supposed to, you put a card down, you put a trail card down. That kind of moves you in distance towards your 3 feet to get to the other card. Every time 5 of these have collected, you sweep them up into a stack of 5 cards. So you almost get near, and then you're much further back than you thought you were. And then you get closer, and you're so much further back than you thought you were. And it's only good at the end of the game when that 5th step gets you eventually to Willamette Valley, Oregon. But just physically watching the board get you so close and then watch you get pulled back is depressing.
So it recreates another aspect of the game.
Yes, in that it is depressing.
Depressingly slow and...
Yes.
Yeah.
Any given turn can be kind of quick, and there are cards to remedy things, and you can trade 2 remedies to get 1 remedy of a type that you need. There are different problems that will come up, and anybody in your party can fix them for you, but if it gets back around to you, usually horrible things happen. But everything you remember from the game is here. Inadequate grass. I remember that. That was really terrible.
Not everything from the game is here.
Thank you, Mike.
The best part of that game is not here.
Oh, yeah, there's no hunting.
Yeah, you can't shoot 586,000 tons of food, but you can only carry 12 pounds back to the wagon.
I don't know
I
what you're
killed an
talking
entire.
about.
I buffalo billed all of the bison, but I only can carry what fits in my knapsack. So 2 steaks.
This rabbit is going to have to do.
There's
Sure
there's
was
a
fun to
new
shoot 'em.
yeah. There's a new mountain and it's made of bison carcasses, but. I
Don't
managed
worry,
to find 2
there's never
pounds
going to
of
be a
turkey.
shortage of those.
Well, there now, but
I don't know what you're talking about. There's a card here that says food and has a bunny on it. If you have a bullet, you can get 200 pounds of food. What more is there that you need?
you could shoot deer. You could shoot
Anyone who
squirrel.
played the original game knows exactly what more you need.
Time
Yeah.
you tried to shoot a deer, was like, would you just hold? I can't. I missed.
Oh, that's why you aim at the squirrels. Those quick little buggers.
Yeah.
I was kind of expecting a poorly put together dexterity element to this that
Yeah.
you could hunt food with.
Like flicking something or something.
Yes. There
Oh,
are
there
also
you go. It's an expansion, Bruce.
Oh, yeah, that's
Punching
what this
expansion.
needs. There are also the 3 cards that just have a skull on them in 3 different colors. There is the blue skull that brings typhoid, where you need clean water. The orange one that brings measles. You have 1 turn unless someone gives you medicine. And then dysentery.
You just die.
Should you
no
happen
cure.
to play a trail card that says you have to take a calamity, you're like, okay, we'll deal with the calamity. You have died of dysentery. Game is over for you, and you can now spend the next 40 minutes watching your friends also have a miserable time.
Aw.
That's how Brian did. I got to play almost every bit of every game. The only person that got more game time than me was Mike, because he was fighting by himself to get to Willamette and did not.
And I
Go, Mike.
feel like dying on the second turn was the best outcome, other than maybe the first for me.
You did get ice cream before the rest of us.
I think we all went for ice cream at the same time.
Yeah,
I
but-
just got more opportunity to eat it.
Yeah, that's true.
Also, as a note, we played this in an ice cream parlor. That would also be important.
Well, the
to the
combo
Pizza
Pizza
shop.
Shack.
Pizza Shack
Yeah.
ice cream
Shack
parlor.
ice cream parlor, yeah.
Because we decided we wanted the whole experience of living our elementary to middle school years.
Yes.
It was certainly full of age-appropriate people for
Yeah.
playing video games from the
Yeah,
early 80s.
so we did not get to cuss at this like we wanted to.
I mean, speak for yourself.
Not like Louis.
So I would say a couple things to note. The backs of the cards are done in kind of 8-bit, and I think not bad. It's almost like 16-bit.
Yes.
Yeah, they're too
Fancy.
fancy for 8-bit, but they are trying real hard to look super
Yeah.
pixelated. They're
Yeah.
pixelated.
It's pixelated-ish, and yeah.
And then
A rosy view
It's-
of the art at the time.
It's 8-bit if you had 8-bit, but on a modern-sized monitor, so you had more pixels to work with.
yeah, what's really weird is the cards that are the trail are definitely 8-bit and remind you very much of that Oregon Trail look.
Yeah.
But the Calamity cards, the ones that will be murdering you today, are really a lot nicer graphics than I would have expected.
They're
Yeah,
really,
those are in like EGA.
Yeah.
Yeah.
really more of an MS Paint look.
I mean, they're
that bunny.
pixelated. It looks like they took a normal picture and just put it through a filter and pixelated it.
I would
rather
guess
than-
that's probably how it worked, except for this clip art skeleton head they've had laying around waiting to be 3 of the cards in the game.
That is way too detailed for the original. There's shading
Oh,
on
yeah.
that.
Yeah. So I would say
So you know how long we've been talking about this game?
you could have played it.
Yeah, you could have played it.
You could have played it, and 3 of you would already be dead.
Yeah,
the other one
definitely
would be-
one of you would have been dead.
Only the 4th one of you would still be
the
playing.
fourth of you would be praying for death. Like, man, used up all the dysentery cards. Why can't I die?
No,
Why can't
I-
we-
It's over with.
I did not feel that way. I was determined.
Oh, well, at
and
least that's why
I
you
failed, but I
that's
was
why
determined.
you lived. Is
The
you had
American
the
dream.
pluck
Yeah.
and gumption that we did not have.
Yes.
I wanted to make it to our friend's house in Oregon.
Yes. The Onstads, who said if we could make it to Oregon that we'd get a barbecue or something.
I mean, if it's this difficult, no offense to the Onstats, but I'll pass on the dysentery.
Yeah, I do not actually want to get dysentery.
I have a question.
Yes,
for
ma'am.
Our friends in that state that would not translate well over the Twitters.
Okay.
Is it Oregon or Oregon? Or is it some complete third pronunciation that we don't know about?
Oregon.
Yeah, that is a good question.
Oregon.
Around here, it's Oregon. Like, oh no, my organs hurt.
Whereas you think it should be like Oregon, like Nonagon.
I don't know.
You just had to pull out Nonagon so that everyone
yeah.
would know, you know, what a 9-sided figure looks.
A robot, yeah. A robot that says no to everything. Nonagon. I am Nonagon. No!
And I can hear the subscriber count dropping.
Yeah, and the crickets.
Yeah, that's all we got left are crickets.
So it plays 2 to 6 players. It's kind of what we talk about for. I don't know.
It's not a party.
No,
it is a party in the
game.
same sense of an adventurer party.
I would take it.
Set out.
You would take this to a party.
I would.
Why do you hate
people.
Yes.
and fun?
Well, they have to be my age or close to my age. Like younger, I don't think they'll get it. Older, they definitely won't get it.
So more importantly, what you're saying is, if this is nostalgic for you, you think it's worth a play.
Yes.
Okay. Brian, how about you?
I think its only selling point is nostalgia.
Yep.
And once that has worn off and the novelty is gone as well, after the first time you've played it, it's literally like people are buying it because the box looks like they remember a thing.
Yep.
And then they'll open it and either think it's a terrible interpretation of a thing or think it's a faithful interpretation and remember how much they actually hated that game. They just didn't have anything else to do because it was 1986.
That was what it did for me, and it makes me wish that maybe they would just come out with a Number Munchers game that would be slightly more fun.
Couldn't we get like Battle Chess? I know it was on a color computer, but still.
I think that's just
that would
chess,
be
Brian.
more fun. No, Battle
it
Chess
was
was a
Battle
little
Chess.
No, I
animated
played
things.
Battle Chess. I know.
Yeah,
It was
because
3D.
They ate each other and stuff. It was
Yeah.
fun. Yeah, it had like 6 colors,
Yep.
maybe 16, I think.
Probably. Sure.
That seems like the multiple back at the time.
Yeah. Mike, how about you?
I don't think multiples change.
You know what
They do over time, Mike.
8,
Okay.
16, they go up by factors
40,
of 8.
17, 94, 6. You know numbers, Mike.
Yeah, multiplication tables.
Yeah.
Number munchers would have told you those.
Yes, exactly. If only we had the home game to Number Munchers, we would be able to talk to you about math. But no, we're talking to you about history. How about you, Mike? How do you feel about this one?
Well, I feel pretty much the same way that Rocky does, that if the nostalgia hits you in your funny bone and you would be amused by this sort of thing, give it a try. I don't think it's going to get a ton of plays. I don't think it's going to come off your shelf a lot. I think you probably are going to play it a couple of times, and then it's just going to sit there for a long time, and maybe you'll pull it down again, at some point way in the future and go, oh, that was kind of funny. But really, it's not one of those, high replayability games.
No.
So, dear friends,
Yes.
please enter that password and win a copy of this game.
Remember, hashtag I listen to the Party Gamecast featuring the Party Gamecast, all written out as a hashtag, and you have a chance to win this. I'm going to kind of agree, yes, it reminded me how much I didn't like that game. It was nostalgic, though.
You didn't like that game?
I remember that after playing this. I would rather have played Number Munchers.
I remember always hating it. It was the option. It was one of 2, and half the time they only had so many discs. So it wasn't because you did put the discs in. So
Yep.
not everyone could play one game. So if the game that I like Number Munch or whatever I would have rather played, all the discs were taken up, then I had to play whatever was left.
Yeah. It was a lot of Number Munchers and Odell's Lake.
Oh, I
remember
was
that
sitting
one
here
at all.
trying to figure out what that was.
Odell's Lake, the
Oh,
one
that
where
was
you
the
catch
best
fish.
game.
That was fantastic.
Yes, it was.
Oh, yeah, get on it, Pressman.
Yeah, I don't know that one.
Oh my God, you were catching fish and trying to get a big, gigantic one.
No, I remember this one, and I remember Number Munchers, and there was some stock game.
Oh, if I would have known there was a stock, I probably would have loved that.
Well, I'm sure you would have.
There was one other game.
There was
where
also
you,
the rock game
Yes,
where you always look
minerals.
for the cleavage, and then everybody, cleavage. And you had to try and figure
Yes.
out, you wanted to get the more valuable minerals.
You had to try and figure out what they were.
Yeah.
I don't remember that one either.
Well, you know what? If out there, those of you listening, if you can remember what it is, let us know at Party Gamecast.
And if you
We're kinda
hashtag
curious.
it,
Wait.
And if you let us know and also hashtag it, I listen to the Party Gamecast featuring the Party Gamecast, you have a chance to win a copy of the Oregon Trail.
And then
Card
when
game.
you display it proudly in your, I don't know, hipster, kitschy bookshelf full of novelty items.
That is where this
And
belongs.
People are like, why do you own that? Well, funny thing, I didn't pay real money for it.
I won it from a podcast you've never heard of. Push up your glasses further up your nose.
Yeah, see, we're helping you get more hipster street cred. You're
Yeah,
welcome.
there you go.
Yeah, you
You're
are
welcome,
quite
listener.
welcome.
you were listening to us before we were cool.
Oh, yeah, you were.
You still are.
Good on you.
You still are listening to us before we're cool.
Yeah. So okay, we can close the door on that. We will be talking about sometime in the next couple episodes some more games that are exclusive to Target that we have had come in. Yeah, that'll be a thing. So now we need to do the thing people actually listen to the show for. I think it's about time for What the Food!
What the food?
What the Food!
What the?
Food.
got incoherent.
It did.
quickly.
It did well because we became rock stars part of the way through there, and I just became like Hootie from Hootie and the Blowfish, where I don't know you.
Gonna build a monument to you somewhere?
I know. So, we've decided that for this episode, we're just doing things that you all out there have let us know you want to listen to. So this time we're talking about Oreos.
This is our version of fan service, folks.
This is our version of this whole episode.
You're welcome.
You are very welcome. We're going to talk about two kind of normal... No, we're not. We're talking about two crazy Oreos, and then the wheels come off of it, and we're eating an Oreo that seems like someone photoshopped it.
And funny thing,
I didn't think it was real.
all of them say artificially flavored, so that's fun.
Well, that one is definitely artificially
Which one?
flavored.
They all say it.
Did
So let's-
you expect to not be? It's an Oreo.
So let's start with the first two. So what we've got is they did a run of pie-flavored Oreos, which I think if you look around, you can still find.
Yeah.
I don't think they're easy to find, and one of them, we're doing a key lime pie that I believe was an exclusive at either Target or Walmart. I don't remember which one.
Speaking of Target,
Yes, but these are still well within season. I think you can find them. Which one should we start out with, Rock?
When I eat things, I like to start with the thing I think I'll like the least.
So the
so
blueberry.
key lime.
Blueberry.
Key lime. Oh.
Blueberry.
Well, the thing I like least is the one we're saving for last. I'm
Oh,
gonna assume.
I love
People
it, though.
might not know what we're talking about.
I'm
yet.
not naming it.
He
I'm
doesn't
just
know what
saying.
he's talking about yet.
That is true,
I'm
but
dreading. I've never had them before.
so we're going to begin with blueberry pie flavored Oreos. I can't see past the big monitor here. So are these chocolate cookies? Are these graham cracker? What are we doing?
These are graham flavored cookies.
Okay.
With blueberry flavored cream.
Nice.
Because
Let's get those
graham
passed
crackers
around.
are too hard to make in a cookie shape.
I know.
That they had to just add graham cracker flavoring to vanilla cookies rather than make a graham
Does
cracker.
that not have the?
It does not.
Oh
No,
wow,
they don't.
that doesn't have the lift tab on the front, and neither
Nope.
does the third one that we have.
Oh, so
Only the
clearly
key
they've
lime.
changed the
But
design.
the key lime does.
Oh, I was going to say, since the last time that we got Oreos.
Maybe whatever store the key lime was from.
These are distressingly colored.
They smell vaguely appropriate. Oh, that is lavenderish.
It's like lavender, and the
But lavender and gray.
cookies like just a weird off.
Yeah, it looks like a vanilla Oreo, except it's a
Dirty.
little too dark. It looks like it got dirty, or like the dye from the blue soaked
Oh.
into it.
I once ate an ice cream that was roughly this color.
I didn't.
I mean,
Really?
it doesn't smell unpleasant. It just smells.
I'm not sure I've eaten anything this color.
Oh, no. This color, I one time had sardine ice cream.
Oh,
And it was about this color.
Yes, you did. I believe that might have been made in a dryer.
It was in fact made in a dryer.
Which is not where you would think.
That's not
you'd
where
make ice cream.
Shocking, isn't it? But
Put that
yeah,
on
that
high
is
heat.
yeah. Wow. That is gray. That is like wow.
No, it's lavender.
It's lavender and gray, and that is
It's Gravender.
You're Gravender.
You can taste the blueberry.
Wow.
Nice to know they recycled the cookies from the s'mores.
Agreed. I don't hate this.
No, that's why
I
I didn't
really
want to do
want
this first.
to.
I felt like I would like this more than the other one.
I like it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know that I'm gonna buy a whole bunch of them, but I don't. Unlike a lot of these weird flavored Oreos, I don't regret eating this.
No.
I feel like that won't last. But,
The schnozberries pretty much taste like schnozberries.
yeah, they do.
I'm pulling a second one out to put over in my area so that I can have a second one of these cookies,
Yeah.
which is shocking me. Rock, how do you feel about these?
I'm still chewing. They are much more delicate than I anticipated for the color.
Agreed.
Because that is not subtle.
Now that color is not. It is a little off-putting.
In fact,
yeah.
that if there is a theme that ties our three cookies together, it is not subtle coloring.
Yes.
Yeah, they are
Unsettling colors would be
vivid.
what connects them together.
So yeah, I actually did not hate this.
I'd take it to a party.
Yeah, I would. They're
Oh,
interesting.
are we doing that?
Nope.
We do it for everything, Brian.
Oh, it's not.
We
I
have a
thought it
brand to
was
protect,
new.
Brian. So you taking this to a party?
Yeah, actually, it's tasty. It's not like I said, it's not my favorite thing, but it's good. and it's different.
And
So,
this
why not?
is a fine mix of novel and not repulsive when you eat it.
Yeah, sometimes
Wow.
novelty's the only thing it has going for it. This
Yeah.
is a tasty enough cookie on its own, but they shouldn't make it forever.
No.
But like if you showed up and like, hey, guess what they made for the last 2 months? And I got some of they're kind of good. There you go.
Yeah, if ever there were a cookie that should be a limited edition, they have done it here.
Yes. You want like one box.
Yeah. How about you, Mike?
Yeah, no, the blueberry tastes like that, not like fresh blueberries, but like blueberry filling, that very sugary, syrupy blueberry filling that you have in a, random blueberry pie that you get from the store.
Yeah.
Or that you can buy in a can to make your own pie with. That's what it tastes like.
Yeah,
So-
it does taste a little like a freezer bought
Yeah.
blueberry pie, preservatives and all.
Yeah. I can see that, and not in an unpleasant way. Like
No, but yeah, like-
it sounds awful when you say it, but not in that unpleasant way. The kind of way where maybe you would buy a freezer pie and eat it.
Yeah, it doesn't taste like a homemade pie by any means, but if you went to the grocery store and bought the like middle of the road or better pie that they offer that's blueberry, this is that one.
Yeah.
I can see that. So, just to kill a little bit of time while Rocky opens up the next bag of stuff. So,
This,
speaking of things in a can,
Uh-oh.
yeah.
Oh no.
Peaches?
Canwich is apparently supposed to be coming
Oh,
back
no.
to sandwich in a can.
Oh, no.
Oh, that sounds hard.
Doesn't it? I really want to try
far
Canwich.
down the rabbit hole trying to find Canwich, and then finding some YouTube things of things that came in cans.
Well, no, but Canwich,
Yes,
apparently,
Rocky?
the American company making vending machines full of peanut butter and jelly
Yes.
sandwiches, is apparently supposed to be back. And if you are out there and you know anything about Canwich or how we can get Canwich, please let us know. Now, Rocky has opened up the bag to the key lime. Please, Rocky.
I tried to warn you.
There was some reeling.
That is accurate.
Involved.
That is sharp. And so same cookie as the blueberry pie, but
The graham cracker.
Yeah, yes.
Ooh,
by the way,
that
these
is
are key lime pie.
pungent.
The filling is day glow.
Yeah, it is.
Like if we had a black light, it'd be a party right now.
Oh, my word.
yeah, that's sort of like
So far, I've not gotten the bag. Every
When
single
you-
person has sniffed the bag and recoiled.
you know when you buy those all natural citrus based cleaners.
Yep, that's 4 for
Yeah.
4.
That's that.
Holy goodness, this absolutely smells like lime cleaner.
Yeah, when you buy the like clear bottle of like green cleaner that's just made with citrus oil and love or
Holy
whatever.
goodness, that is neon. That is an unnatural color of green. Rocky, can you take a picture of this for Twitter? Because that's insane.
Yeah, this is like yellow number 5 and blue lake 40 or whatever those ones are that definitely cause cancer in only California.
Yeah, and a little bit
Those.
and an unacceptable amount of
Colors.
Mambo number 5 is also in this.
There's a little bit of mambo.
Ooh, because we got to throw the 90s now.
I mean, we already did 80s, now we're 90s. Who wants to do the naughties?
Oh,
Please, no one ever call them that again. It's horrible.
Agree.
Okay.
All you.
No, the people call it that, and I
Oh.
want to strangle them.
at first I really liked it because it sort of had that bracing lime, and then it got a little creamy, and then more of the lime kicked in.
Oh, yeah.
It's like eating an Oreo and sucking on a lime Jolly Rancher.
Yeah, it's good at first, and then it keeps going, and
Mm-hmm.
it needed to stop. It needed it was good, and it didn't need more. And it
Agreed.
just quit while you're ahead, Oreo.
The photos are not doing it justice. I will post it. Though.
Go home, Oreo, you're drunk.
I mean, it might be
Wow.
better drunk.
Yeah, that is. I've never really even. Because help me, guys. I've never quite had a taste that did this. Because it really does go from that's interesting. Oh, that's kind of nice. What is happening? And that's not eating anymore. That's just the taste accelerates into the end of the horizon.
I'm pretty sure someone just spilled like cleaning product in my mouth. I think. Not a terrible one, but it's very. It's like if
Like,
Pledge
I'm not
was made
sure
with
this
limes.
is good for me.
Yeah, like if Pledge was
And
made
not
with
in the,
limes.
Yeah.
I'm going to become,
Well,
Morbidly obese and have a heart
morbidly
attack.
obese, yeah.
Oh,
no,
no.
this is more of a more immediate.
Yeah, like this,
This
I
tastes
might
like-
have to go to call a poison control center.
This does taste a little bit like it should have a Mr. Yuck on the outside
that
of
is
it.
exactly
just
what I was
gonna say,
thinking,
could you
yes.
check the package for a Mr. Yuck?
Yeah.
It would have that same color
Yeah.
as the Mr. Yuck symbol.
It is a very similar color of unnatural green.
That is so strange. I've never.
Well, it does. This color is actually on those poison frogs that are that color because you're not supposed to eat them.
Yeah.
So
It's
Yes.
that color.
the beginning part, I don't mind.
Yes.
It's that. Oh, there it is again. Oh, that end part. And it waits a second, then it's like awful.
Fooled ya.
Yeah, I don't know what to do with this because it is good for a second.
Yep, Brian and I know what to do with this.
Blueberry palette cleanser.
Yep.
Oh yeah, that's a good idea.
Oh, yeah.
Wow. So we do have to answer the question, which is take it to a party. Now, I would like to note first that key lime pie is one of my favorite types of pie and has only recently been beaten by Minimum Gnome, brought to the Dice Tower convention, brought for us to try orange blossom pie.
It was delicious.
And orange blossom pie might be my new favorite, only because it is that same sort of bracing feel that you get from a key lime pie, but where that lime taste would be that might slap you around a little bit, it's just fun orange taste. So really a great, but next to that, key lime pie is one of my favorite pies, and I would not take this to a party because what is going on here? It's almost like a lime jello. That's where that taste goes. It is lime jello that it finishes out to.
Yeah, it is.
The front end is key lime pie.
Yeah,
Like,
no,
it's
it
kinda
gets key
creamy
lime
and-
pie for a second, and then bam, lime jello.
So confused.
Like lime jello and cleaning solution. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, Rock, you taking this? Okay, I'll ask somebody else. So, Mike, you taking these key lime pie Oreos to a party?
Not unless I really dislike the people at the party. I mean, I don't like key lime pie to begin with, although I do like other lime things, but this is definitely not making me want to rush out and try key lime pie again.
Well, this is also lime jello flavored in the end there, so don't let that taint you. God, Zooks.
But I like lime jello, and I don't like this.
Wow.
No.
Brian, how about you?
Maybe if I wanted everything to smell like they had just spilled cleaning product everywhere, and I don't know why I'd want that. So
Okay.
no, these are terrible. Nobody should eat them.
And Rocky, how about you?
No, but I may try and feed them to my coworkers tomorrow.
See, does the cat like them?
No.
No.
Let's not do that.
So here's the one you've all been waiting for. This came out, people had pictures of the packaging, and everyone thought it wasn't real.
It looks, and
I'm still not sure it is real, and I'm looking right at the package.
for an Oreo package, which looks cartoonishly photoshopped to begin with, because it is, this looks unbelievably photoshopped.
So what we have our hands on is Swedish fish Oreos. You have asked for it. We found it. It was a Kroger exclusive. We had to learn that in our area, because we do not have Kroger, that Harris Teeter is a Kroger store. So they get the Kroger exclusives.
Huh.
That is how we found this. Everything all right?
Yeah, just a little burp.
Oh, okay. So we need to crack these things open.
Well,
Do
no,
we-
we don't yet.
No, I
because-
want to have the cookie first.
Do you think so?
I
Because there's-
want to see
There's
what it-
something that the listeners need to know.
I suppose that is true.
Yeah.
These are Swedish fish Oreos. Swedish fish is a particular type of candy that has a particular type of taste that is uniquely Swedish fish. Mike has brought actual Swedish fish for us to compare this to.
Because Brian has never had Swedish fish before. So he
Oh my
can't
God, what's wrong with Brian?
he can't verify the accuracy of these Oreos.
But I feel like I bring something to the table that you guys don't, in that I will just taste it as a cookie, not as, does this remind me of Swedish fish, and do I like Swedish fish? I just want to taste this and see how it tastes as a thing, and then I'll have a Swedish fish and compare.
Sure.
I think
you guys
that
are all
sounds
going
like a great way to
we're
go.
gonna come at it from opposite angles. You guys already know what a Swedish fish tastes like, so you can
Because we're human beings.
bring that. I don't. My mom didn't buy a lot of candy as a kid, and apparently none of my friends like Swedish fish enough to have them around a lot.
Yeah, I can't blame him. It is not my favorite candy
I mean,
at all.
I guess I'll find out. Just subtract the chocolate flavor and whatever's inside this Oreo.
At this rate, you're not going to find out.
We'll find out in 35 minutes when Mike figures out how to get into this bag of Oreos.
I think he's going to, and they're going to go flying all over the room. Oh, there you go.
I've successfully done it without exploding.
Very good.
Yay.
So, what are we... Oh, no, Mike gave me a heck of a look.
Mike recoiled.
Let's see here.
Like Rocky's reaction to
Oh my
Key Lime
god!
Pie.
Oh my god! They smell so much like Swedish fish. This is not good. This is not how you want to do things. They are bright red. Holy goodness!
They are a
Why?
chocolate cookie with a really bright red center.
Like to give you.
Oh my
Oh my god! To give you an idea, the bright red center looks like red Play-Doh.
Oh, is that what Swedish fish tastes like?
Oh, I don't know yet.
They smell
Oh, my word.
like
They
someone
taste like that scent.
It even
they taste
smells like waxy.
dollars. They smell like dollar store cough drops.
Yeah, they do.
Oh
My goodness.
Oh, that is unnatural.
Oh, yes, it is.
Does this get a Twitter picture, or are we leaving people in suspense?
No, this definitely gets a Twitter. Everything gets a Twitter picture because this is insane.
Yeah, this is like the kind of red that only exists at Party City like Halloween blood
Yes.
packs. Like, this is unnatural.
This is Halloween. This is Halloween.
Hey, Mike, how is it?
Oh my God, what happened in my mouth? That's awful.
Oh,
That's like cherry and menthol and
ready.
chocolate cookie.
wow.
Oh, I don't want a Swedish fish if this is what they're like.
Oh, God. This is so unfortunately accurate.
Yeah, this is a kind of cherry that only exists in a cough syrup
I told
with
you.
a little bit of that menthol.
Wow. It's actually more cough syrupy than normal Swedish.
Yes.
Do they normally like clear your sinuses out a little?
No.
No.
No, they are
Might
not
be.
normally this cough syrupy.
Maybe they
This
were
is-
too
I
close
can-
to the key lime.
Yeah, I can feel this in my sinuses a little. It's
This is like a mentholated
and that
Swedish fish cookie.
A little bit, yeah.
chocolate aftertaste mixing with is not a good combination.
And needless to say, that is not in Swedish fish.
No.
Why would you make this chocolate cookie?
And
But,
somehow,
like,
I was wondering why a chocolate cookie.
Maybe they were going like cherry cordial because those are chocolate and cherry.
Maybe. Terrible idea here.
No,
Yeah.
Maybe, though.
I
Maybe.
didn't say it was a good plan. Maybe it was just the plan. Oh, that is unpleasant.
Oh,
Give me a
man.
Swedish fish. Like, even if it just removes the chocolate flavor, this has to be better. Oh, they're hard.
Good God,
No,
y'all.
they're not that hard.
Well, okay, they were just stuck together.
That is a formidable flavor there in that cookie.
Yeah, like the cream is tangy at the end. I don't know if it's because the cookie is so sugary it freaks it out on my tongue or something.
You know what really does help get rid of the flavor of that in your mouth, though?
I do know exactly what helps get rid of the flavor.
Steamworkscoffee.net coffee sludge from the bottom of my mug.
I think it might be time in just a moment to pour you a brand new cup.
It's time for
These
me to
Swedish
have one.
fish do not smell like anything.
A beautiful
Or my
Steamworks
nose
coffee.
is done after the Oreo.
Your nose is done after the Oreos.
Yeah, they definitely smell like if somebody could Swedish fish me, because I'm trying to drink enough coffee to take care of this.
It doesn't work.
There's just no. These are just bland and vaguely
no,
cherryish.
you don't
Oh, my
really.
goodness.
Yeah, the Oreos kill the flavor of Swedish
The
fish.
Swedish fish Oreos actually make it so if you put a Swedish fish in your mouth,
Yeah.
it tastes like wax.
Yeah.
That's all I taste. Is this not what they normally taste like?
No.
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 No. Maybe
Oh,
I'll
my
try one
word.
later in the show after my palate is reset.
Yeah. And you know who we can thank for all of this What the Food action?
Oreo?
Oreo.
Oreo. But also the fine folks from Steamworks Coffee at steamworkscoffee.net.
Yes.
Yeah.
I need some more of that. All I have is coffee sludge.
I understand. Let's get you a fresh cup of coffee. And let's talk about this wonderful product from these fine folks.
We're doing analysis paralysis again, right?
As a matter of fact, we are. We have not officially talked about it. We're going to talk about it right now. About
we
this wonderful
finally-
blend. Analysis paralysis. So we realized as we got around to nearly talking about Steamworks Coffee at steamworkscoffee.net that we did not do the thing we're supposed to do. We didn't protect the brand. Hey, guys, I think we can do this all at once. Hey, would you take it to a party? 3, 2, 1. No. I think I kind of might because maybe people need to. No.
No.
They
I would
can't
not do
hear
it.
you
No,
because
no.
we blew out their eardrums. Look at the wave pattern on that.
Yeah, it is something. Yeah, they're really awful. They're mind-bendingly awful.
I will say, after a break and a little coffee and then a break from the coffee, I can now taste a Swedish fish, and it's just like mildly cherry, chewy thing.
Yeah, it's not bad.
Yeah.
It's not
Swedish
like
fish aren't bad.
medicine.
Yeah,
No.
it doesn't taste like a like a dollar store cough drop is what those Oreos tasted like.
Yes.
Like not a good cough drop.
No.
Like the worst cough drop.
And then covered in some of the worst chocolate cookie.
Yeah.
Because
Covered in
of-
not even a Duplo, but a knockoff one of those.
A singlet.
Aren't Duplos the big Lego blocks?
Those are
Those are Duplos. Yeah.
those Duplos. Was it Duplox or something with it?
Hydrox.
I don't know.
It is Duplos, and then a low-rent Duplo is a singlet.
No,
Yeah.
I think isn't that a little like a saying or like a short poem or something?
It's a singlet.
No,
Yeah.
that's it's like a
No,
doublet.
a singlet is like half a couplet.
It's
Yeah.
like half a vest, right? Isn't it a doublet in the?
Is that?
I don't
Is
know.
it like a gold? Is it like part of a gold coin?
Yeah.
Maybe.
No.
A singloon.
A singloon. That's what it's not a singlet, it's a singloon.
Oh, this was not going somewhere good.
Thank you. Well, let's go somewhere good and talk about our sponsor, the fine folks at Steamworks Coffee at steamworkscoffee.net.
That will wash the taste of any Oreo out of your mouth. Quite lovely.
We don't guarantee
well.
that, though.
Yeah. Well, it
works
does
pretty
help
well.
with the Swedish fish, and they are not good Oreos.
No, they are not. Today we are talking about analysis paralysis, which is the first of the coffees they've sent over. They are going to start, they're doing the by gamers for gamers. They say that all the time. They even show up to their appearances. They are very much within sort of the steampunk community, and even show up to like steampunk days, steampunk cosplaying, making coffee for people. But they're really trying to reach out more to the gamer community. Part of the reason that they sponsor our show, and we certainly appreciate it. And this is sort of their first blend that is in that vein of talking about gaming. This is a mix of their 3 other blends that we've talked about, because if you're having a problem thinking about which one of them you want,
You can just have all 3.
you can just have all 3. And I would like to say this from all the other people at the table, shut up and take your turn.
I was just going to... Sorry, I was
Seriously.
enjoying my coffee.
That's the sound of people enjoying delicious Steamworks
We
coffee.
didn't get to see the unbroken eye contact during this sip. That
No,
was really
he did
what made it.
keep staring directly at me.
That was
You're welcome.
great radio.
That's fantastic.
It certainly is.
You're welcome, listeners.
And I think this is not like a blend you're going to find a lot of other places.
No.
I have to say, like, I buy a lot of coffee. Now, I also buy a lot of flavored coffee, so I don't know how much.
buy a lot of
You bought a lot of coffee flavored
questionable
things.
coffee.
Yeah, I wouldn't say it's flavored coffee. It's coffee flavored something.
They
else.
tell me it's flavored coffee.
It's coffee flavored beverage.
But I think this is really interesting. This is a neat idea to try. And like I said, mostly I just love the gamer aspect to it. I think that just makes me so happy.
Yes,
Yeah.
when it came in and it was called Analysis Paralysis, and it was a blend of all 3 of the other ones that we had tried.
Yeah.
I laughed. It definitely got a chuckle out of me. I knew exactly the joke they were going for immediately, and that is because so far their coffee has been good, but I haven't really seen, other than the sort of steampunky logo that they've got,
Yeah.
how it has anything to do with gamers.
Other than
This
that they
one-
sponsor our show.
Yes.
And that means they clearly are of the highest grade of gamer.
The most
Well-
discerning and intelligent and sophisticated.
And beautiful and attractive
yes.
and manly or womanly or whatever you want to be.
Dice Tower Network cares.
Dice Tower Network cares. So, once again, we want to remind you that you can certainly grab these wonderful roasts, these fantastic blends, at steamworkscoffee.net. Check that out. Let them know that you heard them on the show here. We'd like them to know that people are actually listening.
We'd like to know that
We'd
people
like to know
are
that you're actually listening.
Yeah. You don't need to tell us you're listening. Just go buy their stuff, and then we'll assume it was us.
Exactly.
Kind of like the all-dressed chips. We just assumed that was us.
Yeah, well, that was us.
I see no other explanation.
No. It's the same reason that in Codenames Deep Undercover, bacon is a card.
Oh,
Yep,
yeah.
that was us too.
It was us and on board games,
There's
and that's
no
why that's in
other
there.
reason anyone would use the word bacon
No,
in
Nope.
pop
Not at
culture.
all.
Nope.
thing. Nope.
not at all.
Nope, that is
You're
not a
welcome.
popular thing.
Nope.
Well, very good. So now let's jump into the base of the show. We're talking about 2 games today that a lot of people asked us to talk about. First of all, we want to mention that these are both from members of another podcast in the Dice Tower Network, the Board Games Insider podcast, where too many vowels meets too many consonants. And Stephen Bonacore, friend of the show, enemy of Mike,
Nemesis
nemesis of Mike.
Nemesis.
We're not enemies.
No, nemesis of Mike. And
Nemesis.
Ignacy Trevicek, who is a person.
Yes.
I've never met him. I've heard good things, but I've never met him.
No relation.
No relation.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've never met him, and he didn't send a game over today. But we are going to be talking about one of his games in these large-scale, pre-planning, pre-program movement game things that we're doing today. So we're going to start with the one from Portal Games. We're going to start with the one from Ignacy Trevicek. It came out at Origins. We are talking about Crazy Karts. Mike is looking now. Is it just from Ignacy's company, and it's not actually made by Ignacy?
No, it's not made by him.
Okay.
It's Charles Amir Perret.
And you know what? That's why I'm glad you're holding the box. And but it did come out from Portal Games, which is Ignacci's company. So,
Yes.
Mike, tell people kind of how Crazy Karts works.
So Crazy Karts is a programmed movement game somewhat along the lines of Robo Rally. And if you are a gamer, you have almost certainly at least heard of Robo Rally. If you've been a gamer for a long time, you've almost certainly played Robo Rally. Because it is one of the early games. I believe it was a Steve Jackson game.
It is the reason that Magic the Gathering exists is because Steve Jackson wanted to get Robo Rally made, and the only way they would make Robo Rally is if he gave them the rights to make Magic the Gathering.
So this has that sort of you have to program things, but you're not. It's not as much programming several moves ahead as it is two different people in your team trying to drive a cart, where one of the players in your cart has some of the functions of the cart, and the other player has other functions of the cart, and they are not allowed to communicate in any way, shape, or form. And then everyone reveals what happened, and you usually look over and go, "Oh my goodness, this is going to be bad." And then as other people affect you, it goes, "Oh my goodness, this is really, really bad." And yeah.
This definitely has a feeling, a theme of like Mario Kart Double Dash.
Yes.
Definitely what this is supposed to feel like.
It is a race, but it is a very open race. It is a hex-tiled board where you just lay out these chunks of board that are hexed out, and there are some various obstacles on the course that you can crash into, and they do things to you, and one player will control things like the speed and speeding up, and the other player might control the brake and slowing down. And they really, you're prohibited from communicating with each other ahead of time. So you at the end of this preparation phase, lift up the screens that are covering your board, and everyone sees what everyone did. And usually you look over at your partner and either high five him or her, or hang your head and just sort of shake your head and cry a little in the corner because you know what's about to happen.
Brace for impact.
Yeah, it's a lot of bracing for impact.
Yes. It certainly is, Rocky.
And
it certainly has a lot of brace for impact.
This,
Rocky.
Yes.
yeah,
Speed.
I think that we had Rocky as Jeremy Clarkson,
Yes.
and then we had you were pretty much Richard Hammond.
I was James May. I was trying to be as slow as possible.
You were not Captain Slow.
I was not
No.
Captain Fast.
No, that was Chris was Captain Slow.
Chris was Captain
One
Slow.
square at a time.
Yeah.
So a couple things to note. Number one, we had Chris and Maureen here earlier. They played the games with us, so we are going to talk a little bit about them as we go through and kind of what we got their opinions to be on these games.
But for various reasons, which we will get into, the things went long in the actual playing
Yes.
of the games, so they could not stick around for the podcastings.
And that is also the other thing I want to note. For these two games, normally when we get a game, we do try and play it a few times before we talk about it. Normally they're party games. It's pretty easy to do. This time we got to play each of them one time, and then we wanted to make sure we got this episode out to you. So because of time, that's what we did. We have one play-in of each of these games. There are some things we can infer from that one play on how maybe our next play would go, but we do not want to lie to you because you listen out there, and we know that a lot of you, or some of you, a couple of you, care about what we say about these games. So we're going to give you our honest opinions, but we are going to say it is off of one play. So I just want to make that clear so that there's no misunderstanding that we've played this, 6 or 7 times. We got one play-in with Chris and Maureen of each of these games because they took longer than we expected. Because both of them, and we're going to talk about it, but both of them kind of had little rules things that we had to kind of find our way through, and
Yes.
it just took a little while.
But
And there is one other thing I should say about the makeup of Crazy Karts, because we're going to get into this when we talk about it, is that while you're all putting down your cards and doing the preparation at the same time, once you reveal, the turn goes through 10 phases of actual action where you click through these 10 phases of the turn in order, and all these things happen in initiative order per team in that order. So there's that to be said for this about this game, because it will come up later.
Yes, we are definitely going to be discussing. And just to note, one of you has the odd-numbered turn stages.
Yes.
One of you is the even-numbered turn stages. So you're literally going to thread from one of you to the other one of you, back to the other one. In a lot of cases, you do not have to play all 5 parts of a turn, so you might just let go of a lot of the stuff because you don't want to deal with it. But you have an option for there to be up to 10 phases of the turn, of which you have control of half of them, and every other one. So I think the other thing to note here is that you have a preliminary race first.
Yes, there's a qualifier, and then there's the race. The qualifier is on a slightly shorter course. There's one less of those hex-marked board chunks. It's not a tile. I don't know what to call it, because it's sort of a hex chunk.
I think hex board chunk is fine.
Yeah.
It's like a 4x6
Hex board chunk.
It's a chunk.
Yeah, something like that, or 6x8 or something like that.
Hashtag hex board chunk.
Yeah, we coined a term. You're
Yes.
welcome.
Chunky hexes.
Hashtag hex board chunk.
Yeah, and in the qualifier, there's only the start tile or start chunk and 2 more, and in the race there's the start tile and 3 more. So it's a little bit longer, and the qualifier, where you place in that, can affect how well you're doing or how well you start off doing in the second and the actually important race, because that is the only one in which you can win the game.
And it can give you seemingly huge advantages that make it seem like the table is tilted towards your team, whether it may be or not. And that will also come up in a moment as we discuss it.
Yeah.
Sure will.
So let's start with this, Rock. We haven't heard from you in quite a while.
Yes.
How did you feel about Crazy Karts, just as a general play concept?
I liked the idea, but the execution was very clunky because of all the 10 phases, and then you alternate with your partner. But even before that, with the phase 1, everybody has to figure out who has the initiative. So you have to figure out who goes first, and it's different every turn. And then once you figure out that, then you alternate your turn. It's
It is, for what it is a very fiddly game.
Fiddly
Yes.
is the term that we've decided is the applicable term
yes.
for this.
There
Yeah.
was so much rule book checking because just some of it was worded clunky, and I hear that's because it was translated from Polish.
Well, the game company is definitely based in Poland. That's on the
Yeah.
box. I'm
It's just-
assuming that this might have been translated.
Yeah, there was a lot of Googling and asking Twitter, and well, what if this happens? Well, what if this happens? And you know, having a lot of different scenarios is good because it keeps it interesting, but it should be intuitive enough that we could figure out what happens.
Yeah, and I would say it's a case where, and I feel like we need to really make this clear to those of you that listen, we play more than party games. That's not all we play. We play a whole bunch of, quote-unquote real, although I always hate that term, but we play strategy games.
Yes.
Especially Mike and I, that's a lot of the time that we have ever spent together. That's what we've done. And we constantly play new stuff. Like, to the point to where we often lament that we don't get to play games too many times.
Yes.
But it was that our secret benefactor, Mom's son, and I both get a lot of games, and then we got this show, and then people started to like this show, so now we get games all of the time. So because of that, we have this amazing knowledge, but we don't get to play a game no more than twice in most cases, with very few exceptions. And because of that, we are constantly learning new rules. So we're used to some of the snags that come with learning new rules. And even with that, this game seemed to have additional snags.
I mean,
Oh, yeah.
at the point that while we're going through all the turns, someone has to say, all right, so phase 3, we're on phase 3. Okay, you got, someone had to keep track of where we were because everyone just kept getting lost because there was so many different things.
Really need sort of a taskmaster
Yeah.
to send you through the phases and make sure that everyone's doing things in initiative order on each phase, and then you move to the next phase. Otherwise, things just bog down.
Yeah, and it is a very strange thing, because I would do it sometimes, but then if I took my eye off the ball, somebody would have to notice that I took my eye off the ball, and then someone else would have to... And if you're not the kind of person... I, by and large, don't mind kind of running stuff that way and doing, I guess... I don't want to say the bookkeeping, because that's not exactly what that is, but doing kind of the task mastering. But sometimes, even in a game like this, after a while, I just get sick of saying, okay, part 5. Well, who's on part 5? Who had initiative? You have initiative? Okay, what's your part 5? Do you have one? I don't know. Wait a minute, don't do it out of order because it might be important. Do you have your part 5? No, we didn't do part 5. Okay, did you do part 5? We didn't have initiative order. You got to look at somebody. Okay, did you guys? And that's what it feels like you're doing the whole time.
Yep.
Yeah,
10 times around.
the same 10 phases every round, and you have, I don't know, 8 to 20 rounds, depending on how chaotic I guess you probably are and how much bouncing off walls you do versus going in straight lines. But it's the same, and even as a player, it's not like I was on top of it and no one else was. Like, everybody was all over. You always were losing track of which ones you'd put points into and which ones happen in what order, even though they're numbered on the stupid card in front of you. Well, it's not stupid, but you know what I mean. Like, they're numbered right there.
Yeah, and the company has done everything they can, because we've discussed this, because we said at the end, well, it really feels like a lot of parts, and Mike was especially saying, like, it's so clunky, it feels like I'm taking 120 turns instead of 12. And you can't really take any part of that out. And the way they've done it is the most logical and easiest way to do it for what they wanted to accomplish, which was a game where two people are going to have this kind of inner turmoil amongst a two-player team. It is how this has to be done.
Yeah.
That having been said, among 6 of us, which, you know, half of us are game players that play a lot, and all of us have been doing this show for 4 years. So, I mean, we've played games.
Goodness, has it been that long?
Yeah.
I've only been doing it for like a year and a half.
Darn it, whatever. The show's been going on for that long.
Wow.
Among 6
Man, I need
people,
to catch up.
you're right, it was not that I was watching and you weren't. It was unless one person was watching and commanding what was going on,
Yes.
it floated away. So if that one person, like if I decided, okay, did you do your part 1? Good. And then went to check Twitter, I would look up and go, okay, what are we on? Everybody go, well, you tell us. I'd go, well, did we get past 2? Oh, we're on 2 now. And it wasn't really anyone's fault. It wasn't that people weren't paying attention. There's just something about this where you kind of float off a little bit.
Yeah, you needed
Part
someone
of what
to kind
was
of
what it
call
was
out.
is that we had to keep looking at rules, and there weren't some.
Yeah.
Like, the
That
rule
too.
book was really not well written. I hate to do this again, because just a couple of episodes again, we were beating on a rule book, but yeah, I mean, we went into this, and then we checked Board Game Geek for some things, and they didn't have answers. And there's so many things in here where we were like, well, what if this happens? When exactly does this happen? What happens if the mummies lasso one cart into another one? Not covered in the rules.
And it became one of these, and I guess part of it is we're used to party games, okay? And they should run smoothly. And it's a very difficult design to make them run smoothly. And when we step into some of these games where it's a little less smooth, you start to get into the clunky problems that games can have. But normally at the point that it's come to us, you know, Crazy Karts, I picked that game up. I bought that at Dice Tower Con because people were talking about what a potential party experience this was for gamers. The problem is with it comes these sort of gamer problems of, okay, well, if I lasso, we check the lasso rule, which is if you're adjacent to me, I can't grab you, but I can grab you from one further away. Then I pull you towards me. So then once I've pulled you towards me and I hit you into another car, I guess I then look at the part of the rule book that covers what happens if I hit you with another car, because nothing talks about if I use lasso to hit you into another car. And you're doing that thing where your rules, not even lawyering exactly, because we weren't really, we just wanted to check to make sure.
Cover it. Like, we just wanted to know what the rule was.
Yeah,
you kind of almost had to check the theme and then go back and find, like, because it was, yes, you lasso a car and you pull it closer, but one space closer to you from where you lassoed the car was another car. So in theory, like you said, you want to figure out, but like nothing in the lasso says anything other than you could lasso and pull someone into a power up or an obstacle. But it doesn't, and obviously you can't lasso them into a wall because that's not possible. But you could lasso them into the other thing that you can hit. There's only 4 things you can hit in the game, and it covered 2 of the 3 possibilities and not the 3rd.
It almost felt like they were so worried about redundancy because they wanted to show you that they didn't need to be redundant. Or what they needed to say was, you know, if you lasso, you can hit them into this, or hit them into another car, see page 6. And that's all it needed. And I realized that might seem stupid, and maybe I'm less of a gamer for needing that, but I would just like that, see page 6.
They did that in other places in there, though, like in the special abilities. It's like in the beginning it says this is the phase where you use a special ability. These are the 4 special abilities available for reference on what happens if you choose to use one. Go to page 6. So they did that in a couple places in the thing. Exactly what you're saying is if you invoke an ability and it happens, then go here to see what the result is. And they could have just kept, like, it's not like that's a mechanic that the rule book didn't contain.
Yes.
They just chose not to apply it everywhere that it needed to be.
And then there was the weird thing where some things were just worded vaguely, like distribute.
Yes. So at the end of the qualifying round, if you're the first place team or the second place team, which seems highly unlikely to me, but we've played one game, so once again I cannot.
Yes.
And that's the other thing is we're not really sure with this one experience whether this was average. But one team crossed the finish line. If someone else doesn't cross the finish line in the same turn, there is a first place and no one else. First place team gets 2 tiles, and these tiles are pretty helpful. They're not as game-breaking as they initially feel once you play with them, but they're pretty strong. They help parts of your car consistently. And it says, the team that took first distributes these to the players. And we said, well, what does that mean? Does that mean within their own team? In which case, I'd hardly call it distribution. Do they have to hand them to other people? Do they... In hindsight, having played the game, I think it may mean you can either give it to another player or keep it yourself. Because there is, and we need to talk about this too, a definite social component to this, where if a team has both of these advantages, suddenly you will do everything you can to stop them because you feel like they're overpowered.
And my only pushback on that is that social component really depends on who's playing the game. Like, I'm willing to bet there's a lot of people out there who would never occur to them to totally gang up on. And other people who, let's say, make a habit of doing that. I might not win, but you never will.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely how I play.
Directly at Bruce.
Yep.
And that's fine, and I'm okay with it.
Visual
I'm
medium.
Perfectly okay with that.
Yeah,
you're absolutely right.
Look for that component and find
Some people, and that person's oldest friend, who has also been on this podcast.
As we may have discussed in the last episode.
Now, wait a minute.
You may recall.
Okay, here's the only thing I once said, okay? Because what you just said was, we'll look for that component wherever it could possibly be, and we'll hunt it out. I didn't have to hunt real hard. I didn't have to get
it handed itself.
I didn't have to get my part of this game sniffing pig to go looking around for it. It was right there on the top of the dirt where I could get to it.
No truffle pigs?
No, I did not have to send out a truffle pig to get this. It was right there where I could find it.
It did, yes. It certainly presented that. And I think there's definitely a certain amount of that there. Some people may have overly embraced that. I say bitterly because I was the target of such.
Yes, because Brian and Mike won the qualifier, got 2 bonuses.
Resoundingly, because we're awesome.
They did, and they were.
Because elves drool, goblins rule.
That is also what I've heard. We were mummies. We also did not win, Rocky and I.
We managed to not gnaw on the upholstery. That's why we won.
Yes.
Go fast.
They went fast. They took first. They got all the bonuses. We spent 10 minutes trying to figure out what distribute meant because we tried to interpret distribute and interpret what a player was because we could not. It's such a weird word to use. The winning team distributes amongst the players the bonus tiles. And we were like, does that mean it has to be somebody else? Does that mean it distribute amongst their team? Does that mean it could be them or somebody else?
Yeah, because there are 2 players on a team, and you get 2 bonus tiles.
But the way the bonus tiles work, there's a couple, I think, that are one-time use, but most of them are permanent status upgrades to your cart. Like, your cannon shoots 2 spaces further always.
And the person who does the cannons will always get that.
Yeah, but it wouldn't really matter who you give it to because it's on the cart. Like, I guess you would put it in front of the person with the cannon, but it's not like you have to invoke it. It's a passive ability. So there's no, or like the other one we had that allowed us to choose to move 1 space further if we wanted to. Sure, you put that in front, but there's no choosing. You have to give it to the player that has the movement.
Yeah, like it deals with phase 5 of a turn. Yeah. One person has phase 5 on their board. They have to get this thing.
Yeah, so in that sense, the players choose how to distribute, or the winners choose how to distribute the token, or which players to distribute the tokens to. Sounds like you could give it to anyone, and to me, I understand the mechanic of let's go after the people who won, but I don't think that, to me, if the winners gave the upgrades to the losers so that I would target the losers, that would have 0 effect on my choice of who to target most of the time.
And I think maybe that's what it's for, because with you guys starting with 2 upgrades, you were just always my target. Because when we started the race and we were all even, which you are at the beginning of the next race, you're right back at the starting line, crazy cart style, about to begin, except you got to heal stuff and you got 2 upgrades, and everything was great. And
the healing was huge because you
Yeah.
get to remove a damage card, not just damage points. And damage cards are permanent status effects, like your left wheel is broken and you can turning left is twice as hard as normal.
Yes.
Or whatever.
And that is something to note. In this game, you actually have a cannon part of the turn where you fire the cannons. And when you pay coins or you pay points to do everything in this game. So if I'm going to make us go faster, every point I spend makes us go faster. If I'm going to brake, every point I spend lowers our speed. If I'm going to spend points for cannons, it's not if I'm going to hit, it's just the more points I spend, the further I can shoot anything in a circle.
Yeah, so that you may be close to something, but based on the order that all the actions that turn have resolved before the cannon goes off, which is near the end, things may have moved quite a bit further away. Either you may have moved further away because someone gunned your motor, or the other guys did, or who knows. So you have to a lot of times overjudge the range on your cannon. You automatically hit as long as you're in the range. You just have to range it right.
Yeah, and more you get to automatically, you will get to shoot at them. And you will decide what happens by flipping the top card up of the cannon deck. Yeah. And some of them are misses, and some of them are you hit for 1 or you hit for 2. And a lot of them are you hit and knock out a part of their car. Like you were saying, like lefts are now much harder, rights are now much harder. Stopping now is automatically going to happen whether you like it or not.
Yeah, you always break all the time. Or, hey, your cart's on fire, so it always knocks 2 off your initiative because you got to be busy putting the fire out before you can worry about doing anything else every turn.
Yes, so for Rocky and I, whole parts of her board just weren't used.
Yeah, well, because it was silly to put more cards on.
Yeah, it just made no
just be a
sense.
waste.
You're like, well, initiative we're at -2 to start with, so I guess we're never going first.
I mean, unless I spend all of my points, and then I can't do anything once we have that first go at it.
Because you had a finite number of points, and based on it, the faster you went, the less points you had to spend because you were using them all in speed. It's a whole thing. I like that part of it, where that was an interesting balance of, like, you could go faster, but then it meant you could do less. I like that. I liked a lot of those little parts of it. It's just some of the obvious, or at least obvious to, like, and I'm not a high-end fancy gamer tester person. I play a bunch of games because of this.
Yeah.
And I hope I'm not a generally stupid person, but, like, I'm not a game tester. And some of the conflicts that we ran into were real obvious real fast. Like you had one clear interpretation of what it meant to distribute upgrades at the end, and I had a completely different one.
And they were both valid.
And they were both completely valid. And it wasn't, like we said, this may have been translated from Polish, but if you look at the individual words, this is not English. This is not like a bad Google. Everything is worded with great grammar, but it seems like maybe something got lost in translation because they just didn't explain it well enough. But I feel like more just it wasn't play tested, but I don't know. It doesn't sound right either.
No, I think it was probably play tested. I do feel the issue's probably in the rules. Like, here's what I would have liked to have seen. Okay, assuming that now, having played the game, let's pretend that we think distribute really does mean I want to heal my car, but I don't want people to attack me the whole time, so I'm going to give away these bonuses to lesser teams so that maybe they won't hurt me. Let's pretend that's right, okay? Here's what I would like to have seen. Distribute the bonus cards to the players. In parentheses, you might want to give presents or give advantages to the other teams so that they don't hurt you going into the race. Just something that says what that might mean.
No, and that would have made it much like, or even just like it does not have to be to the winning team. It can be given to any team you want, and then you'll be like, why would I? Oh. But to me, I would assume that if I gave you the Big Bertha cannon upgrade, you would just shoot me with it every time.
Yeah, and no.
And Bruce would.
Yeah, and I think that is a perfectly fine, but I think them giving you the strategy hint of you might want to help the other teams out, but you don't have to, is all that sentence needed. It just needed a little bit of, what we intend you to think is this.
And I would say, like, that's good, or at the bare minimum, just say that you are not something like it does not have to go to the winning team. It can be distributed to any team. Like, that's not as clear as yours as this is why, but it certainly makes it would clarify that, because there's no point distributing among members of the winning team. It goes where it goes on that cart.
Or if even what it said was, if my interpretation is wrong and it's the other way, that it would say, distribute to members of your team, parentheses, not all advantages will help the same player on your team. Remember, if it helps speed, it would go to the person with phase 5 on their card.
Yeah.
Just something that says, like, oh, no, when we say distribute, we just mean to the right parts of the board, to the right people that have the right instrument panels.
Yeah.
Something like that.
And one of them was like a one-time drop it for... Because I had, like, the upgrades, one of them was like a one-time heal. Or something.
Yeah, the power-ups, yeah.
Well, no, not the power-up. There was also, because there was a picture in the rule book of a different upgrade that we did not happen to draw randomly that said just heal 3 damage. And it was, I assume, and once per race. And so it was one time during the race you could, I guess, just cash that in. I have no idea what phase you would have cashed that in because that's not a thing. There's no upgrade phase, but if there was an upgrade that's a cash-inable consumable resource,
we have no idea whether they were supposed to be one-time shot. Even the ones we had, we weren't sure. Like it says you can move one farther during the race. Okay, does that mean one time during the race or on every turn during the race?
Yeah, I think some of that stuff was explained. We just never got to it in the...
No,
okay,
that
wasn't
one
even
was
in the rules?
No, there was less text on the upgrades than on anything else, and those are some of the most powerful things in the game. The others were the power-ups. Those were super powerful, and a lot of those were explained, but none of the upgrades that I saw were explained at all. It just said this is what you do with them is you choose to distribute them how you want.
And then
they could have done that so much easier. Like if they intended them to be persistent, that you just say all upgrades are persistent. If you intended them to be one shots, you say all upgrades can be used once and then are discarded.
Or just a phrase on like this is on the card, or say some are persistent, some are one shot, as indicated by text.
Yeah, even if you color code, there's a bunch of ways they could have done this to just make this clearer to the player.
But they did none of it. They didn't specify at all, and we just had to figure it out on our own because it wasn't in the rules. It wasn't on Board Game Geek.
And then that is also one more final thing to note. In true Mario Kart fashion, there are also power-ups you can pick up, and there are a couple ways to get those. There's one where you have kind of a power-up meter that one of the two players has where they can try and power you up to get a power-up. And the other one is you can run across a power-up space, and they are one-time deals that can help you out that you can trigger on other parts of your turn. There are also all the blocking, hindering things. There's like giants and rocks and... ice rinks and things that you kind of pass by, and if you pass over them, things change.
You can launch yourself off of and be awesome.
Yeah, there's like a farm where you take some damage, but you get a power-up for doing it. There's all kinds of stuff like that kind of adds some extra flavor to the game.
And Bruce loves the flavor of this game to begin with because it's his favorite theme.
Yeah, it's fantasy. I love it.
Oh, yeah.
Luckily, we were mummies, so I felt a little less fantasy. So
that's much more realistic. I mean,
that was weird. Like
mummies lassoing people from across the board. It's very realistic.
I liked having the country and western mummies.
Yeah, you had country western mummies. You had like English high society elves. You had just generic dwarves, goblins being goblins, and then mummy country. Like I don't know
the country western mummies, and then the lone wolf, who I believe is literally a wolf.
You know, it's literally a wolf. Like the wolf tokens are fangs.
And it is to be noted that we did not play with a lone wolf. That only happens if you have an odd number of players, because as we said earlier, normally this is played where two people are each controlling part of one cart, but that can only happen if you have an even number of players. So they have a mechanic for if there's an odd number, one of them will be the lone wolf, and there's completely different set of items for them. There's different cardboard. They have different rules.
Yeah, they have a whole bunch of fangs that determine what they can do each once per game, that kind of thing, which seems kind of neat. I mean, I wish we got a chance to try it, but once again,
of something like that.
Agreed.
So you don't have to have an even number, and it looked neat because like you get the added benefit of being in better control of your car, but it seemed like your car was more erratic and a lot more really good or really bad, and there was no middle ground.
Yeah, it looks like parts might just drop off. It kind of appeared
like if you were super good, you would be amazing, but if anything went wrong, you're completely going to fall apart.
So, getting past all of that now, okay, so we've taken the time to note that the rules are an issue and the game's a little clunky and the stratified turns feel a little weird and makes it feel a little bit longer. Once we get past that, was it fun? And I'm going to start with you, Rocky.
I wanted it to be fun. I really did. Maybe on... I was going to say maybe on another playthrough, but the slow lurch of the carts towards the finish just really spoiled it for me. It wasn't really crazy so much as well, I was here first, I believe. But you and it was not fun.
I also found there was something about having to go, okay, I've got the power-up. What part's the turn is the turn?
Yeah. It's
very thinky for a party game.
And
not
let's...
even thinky. It's
And
just
fiddly.
clunky.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't know that I found it especially thinky exactly. I mean, a little bit.
I didn't find it difficult, just slow and clunky, and it definitely has wacky box syndrome, which I think is what has fooled the more serious gamers into thinking that it's a party game.
Yeah, I mean, I heard there was a lot of decent buzz at Dice Tower Con about this, because, well, you were there too.
Yeah.
To the point to where we had heard about it, and we couldn't get in any of the demos, but they had a giant copy, and people were like, it's great. So we picked up a copy from Cool Stuff right there, and you didn't even object. I was like, I've heard it's kind of like Mario Kart. And you're like, well, it's kind of like, you were like, oh, it kind of looks like Mario Kart Double Dash to me too, and we get to be mummies. Sure, it'd be awesome.
I mean, the theme, it sounds like fun. The box looks like fun. The actual playing could have been fun, and it is not.
So then what we have to ask is, so we're already going to take out, would you take it to a party? Because it's an hour-long game, and there are a lot of rules you have to go through, and things are a little clunky.
Yeah,
So it's going to be my D&D group just got done, but we play a board game afterwards, or I've got a few friends where we have a barbecue, and we kind of play games, and you're going to sit down and play a game. But this does play 8 people, so it does play to that big number that we like to talk about, where you start to get to those higher numbers. Would you take it to that sort of thing? That's what we're going to call a party for this. Would you take it to a party?
No, I wouldn't. I wanted to like it, and I just don't. It turned me off so much. I don't even want to try it again.
Oh, that is a shame. Brian, now how about you? We're talking about kind of the fun factor on this, okay? How do you feel about that?
I think it was fun. Like we pointed out at the beginning, we did only play it once. I feel like the second half because there's the qualifying race and then the regular race, which is 25% longer than the qualifying race. The second half of the regular race, so like the last third of the game, started going smoother because it was still a little clunky, but the first half it was constantly like stopping and what do we do? What's next? How do we? But by that point, we had gotten the mechanics down enough that it was starting to go smoother. Turns were going faster. They still weren't super fast. They weren't as fast as I'd like to see them go. But we were starting to get a better idea, and you could see the game playing, I feel like, the way it should, where rather than just dramatic bouncing directly into walls because nobody knew what anyone was doing, you kind of both got an idea of, here's what I bet the other guy's going to do with that half of the cart. And here's what we need to do, and here's what I'm going to guess he's going to play, so that I can bet the best as because you can't communicate. So, but that kind of disjointed hope that the other guy's on the same page as me started to come through, and I kind of felt like I was getting the spirit of the game in the second half. So that was fun for me, and I feel like I would enjoy it a whole lot more on another playthrough, as long as it was with at least some of us. If we introduced another 2 people to it, it would be fine. But like if it was just me and a whole bunch of brand new players, we'd have to go through that. I feel like I would be able to play that role of keeping things moving and keeping the turns and the phases, all just calling them out. So that's a long answer, but short answer, it was fun. I would like to play it again. It's not as fun as I thought it would be. It is definitely, there's more going on, and it's a little more clunky than it should be, but at the same time, like we said, there's nothing you can take out. Like, because one person has to steer, one person has to accelerate, one person has to brake, one person has to attack, one person has to heal. Like those are all things that need to happen, and you can't take any of them out. But yet, it still feels like there's too many things.
Yeah, it is really strange that way, because I came off a little positive, and then we really started to kind of break this down and talk about it. And the more I thought about it, the more I was like, yeah, it really is that 10-part turn, as much as no part. I mean, and some of the parts are part 4, anybody know? Okay. Part 5, anybody know? Okay. Part 6, okay, you're doing a part 6. Sometimes they were that fast, but the mere act of having to go through it,
and
just
every time, it almost like you almost need some kind of recorded thing to call them out or something, which I don't think that would work either, because who knows how long the individual phases will take. Also, you just mentioned Phase 4. We played the less advanced version. There was never a Phase 4 for us because it was a secret ability that was random, which I think would have added a whole nother level of complexity to the turns, because every time you did something, there was a secondary effect that would have been very game-altering. for a beginner game.
And I would definitely say for a beginner game, do not play the advanced game.
No, and it even says on the piece for experienced players only.
Yes. And I do agree with you, Brian. I think this is one that wants to reward much more playing of the game.
Yeah.
It wants you to have sort of a different... A lot of shows talk about this. We can get into this for a second. It's kind of what you and I were just talking about on here, Mike, with just not playing games as much as we used to. Not playing them as many times.
Yes, not as many times.
This
We definitely
game-
play them more than we used to, just not each one.
Yeah, this game wants you to play it a dozen times, 25 times, 50 times. This game wants you to know how this game works, and then I bet the fun comes out.
Well, and that's what I was trying to get to, my long-winded answer was by the latter half of the game, once we had gotten past the basic confusion, the game really, I could feel the theme coming through.
Yes.
And it was that kind of like wacky slapdash, like we've got this weird contraption that we're trying to get down the road before the others, and there's all this chaotic nonsense going on. And like the way that we kept, the king-making part of that last half of the race was annoying a little, but that was mainly because it was directed at me, I feel like.
It wasn't annoying for me at all, Brian.
Yeah, it was annoying, but I know that I'm biased in that it was the only reason we lost.
I actually thought it was a lot of fun.
But at the same time, like that to me was amusing of like because we had gotten comfortable enough, Mike and we knew exactly where to aim the cart. Because we're obviously the best players. That's why we won the first round.
Yeah.
It would have won the second round.
We would have
If it wasn't for this meddling kid right here.
Yeah.
It wasn't just you. It was both of your teams.
Yeah, it was
every
2-on-1.
chance you got from the beginning of the race on in.
That's exactly
To
how it's
me,
supposed to play. You had all the advantages.
That's the part that came through at the end was like you and I lined up the cart. We knew exactly where we needed to go, and then we'd get lassoed and moved a space over. But then Chris and Maureen would bump us back to where we had planned to be, and then undone what the other team done. So it was all this wacky back and forth, or both teams would hit us, and we'd be 2 spaces further than we thought we should have been, facing into an obstacle. Like that to me is, I feel like what they wanted this game to be.
Yeah, the wacky
and that's
races
what I
was
got.
starting to come out.
And that was the part that I really enjoyed, but we only got like 2.5 rounds of it and the game was over.
Yeah, I can see that. And it was Rocky and I were starting to work together as a team a lot better. We were starting to see what we needed to do to get the cart places. I think if we had it over again, we'd be in probably a better position. We were starting to use the special powers a lot better. It was all starting to make a little more sense.
Just needs 8 or 9 more playthroughs, and then it'll be fun.
Exactly.
Nope.
And I think that's the thing is it needs you to have a certain amount of skill for it that we just were not developing in one game. But I'd like to give it a try again. So you're saying you wouldn't necessarily say you'd take it to a party, but you would like to give it another try.
I mean, given that we're not talking party and we're talking
it's your gamer friends.
It's a group of gamers who need a gamery activity that's maybe a little more lighthearted. This would fit in very well with the other groups of friends that I have who do those sorts of things. That I don't do that as much, but we used to play games similar to this.
Yeah.
This would fit right in with. Yeah, so I would. I would understand that the first playthrough would be a little awkward.
Okay. Now, how about you, Mike, talking about both the fun factor and whether you take it to a party?
I actually felt differently about this game. When we started playing it, obviously at the very beginning, just like any game, you're still getting used to the rules. But once we got into a couple, like the second turn, there was a lot of laughter around the room.
Yes.
I remember Chris and Maureen were laughing, and we were laughing, and you guys were laughing. Everyone was laughing because we had the wackiness. We started to see how the wackiness was coming through. And as it became more deterministic, as we started to know how it worked and could predict things better, and realized, I could plan for this, but then someone's going to lasso me or something like that, and there's no way to tell exactly how it's going to go. So, the things are going to change, whatever. It actually, I think, got less fun, and I would say that you could see that going around the room. There was definitely less laughter. There were less people that were attentive. The farther on we got, it became more of a chore for me. It wasn't difficult. It was just it felt more like work. Each turn was so long that I didn't want to keep playing it at that point. And I don't think that this benefits from more plays through. I don't want to play this again, honestly. I'm glad we didn't play it twice. Some of that would have been helped by more and better rules. I think that a lot of the lack of fun, I think was just, the fun was just beaten out of it by our constant searching in the rule book the first time. But at the same time, it felt like grinding something out, and each turn felt way too long for me. And even if you say that you can't imagine taking any of those parts of the turn out, that doesn't make it any better. It's still just as long. And if the case is that you couldn't make it any shorter, well, then that's just not a game I want to play.
I mean, I can see, and I would say I don't think, how do I put it? I don't agree with your opinion exactly, but I do agree with your observation. I think you were right. I do think there was a lot more jocularity at the beginning, that as we put the pieces together, and I agree with Brian, kind of got to more what the game meant for you to experience. It did take the laughter right with it.
Yeah, and I feel like at that point it is just because two people are, interacting in a way that you would think might be a party game-ish interaction doesn't make it a party game. And the fact that that you are prohibited from talking to your co-player for part of the round, and then afterwards, once you've gotten the hang of it, you're not laughing and joking around that much anyway. Like, what's the point? It's definitely not a party game. I would say it's not analytical enough or predictable enough to be a gamery game. It's somewhere in between, and I don't think it really has any place where it belongs.
Okay, so then just to kind of reinterpret and just restate.
I'm sorry. I will say, no, I would not bring this to a party.
Okay.
No, I would rather not play it again. And I don't think it was very fun after we started to get the hang of it.
Okay, so what you feel is that it's too rules heavy to be that kind of light, jovial party, and far too chaotic to be that sort of gamer's strategy sort of, or tactical concept that you might want something like that to be.
Yeah, I feel like a gamer wants something that's more, mechanical and deterministic, and a party gamer wants something that's got more interaction and laughter and, jovial stuff around the table. And it didn't have enough of either to fit into either category.
Okay. So, for me, I sit kind of between Brian and Mike. I want to give it more plays. I feel like we kind of saw some of the spark of what it could be.
Bruce, no one gets between me and Brian.
No, really.
But that having been said, I don't disagree with Mike. I think those more plays, I might find it a more interesting game. I might have a little more fun with it. I don't think it's ever going to be kind of jovial, exactly, which is what this thing seems to want. And I do think we saw at the beginning, and you're right, it might have just been our inability to control the car. We were like, ho, look how terrible we are. And then once we got good, we were like, oh, this is what this game is now, huh?
I do agree with a little bit with Mike, not to totally derail, but I agree, like Mike said, early on, there was a lot of laughter, and I think it was because nobody knew it was going to happen. So it was just always a fun surprise. Yeah. And then once you figured out how to predict what was going to happen, and it did, that went away.
It's kind of like that pirate game, where before, if you're playing it with people who don't know how gamers work, gamery games work, then it's a fun little cute pirate game. And if you play it with real gamers, they very quickly tune in on it and go, oh, no, this game can never end.
Yeah, I can see that. I'm going to say this. I would like to try this game again. Am I bringing it to a party? If I bring this somewhere, I'm warning people ahead of time that I've played it. I'm not quite sure what it's going to bring to us, and I'd like them to help me work through it. So I'm going to say no. I don't necessarily think I would bring it to a party, though I do want to try it again, and I agree with you, Brian. If you and I could find 4 more people that would give it a go, I would certainly like to give it a real honest-to-goodness try.
Or at least one more person. You can play with 3.
That is true, but I don't want to play this with 3.
I can't imagine it's fun with 3.
Yeah.
How do you play with 2?
You don't.
Can't have
it's
2
3 to 8
It's 3 to 8 players. So it's a 2-player team and a lone wolf and up.
You'd have a lone wolf and a 1. Like, I can't imagine less than 6 is fun.
I don't.
I can't. The 2 carts.
And we don't know. And here's what I'm going to say: is in all the different ways you can contact us. If you've had these experiences, please let us know. We'll go through it again. You can tweet us on Twitter.
At Party Gamecast.
Or the cat, although he doesn't care.
At Party Game Cat.
You can find us on Facebook.
On
Facebook. You can call us at 30 Party Game, 30 PARTYGAME. Leave off that last E for savings, though, as you know, if you leave off, it's the Party Game. The Party
I'm doing
Game.
the Charleston under the table.
Exactly. But yeah, just type the whole thing out. It'll help you remember it, 30 Party Game. And let us know, because we are very curious. You can also email me directly at thepartygamecast@gmail.com if you have strong thoughts about this. If you've had a different play experience, drastically different than what we're talking about here, we would love to tell people about that. So please let us know. And after that long discussion, we'll be back in just a minute to talk to you about our second or third, and definitely our final game. Our second game, if we don't count the Oregon Trail, which we probably shouldn't.
No, that's an experience, not a game.
Yeah, that is an experience, not a game. We'll talk to you about our second and final game of the episode, the Dragon and Flagon, in just a moment. This is Bruce in the editing bay for what I have started calling, at least to myself, business time here in the second break. We take care of all the business. First thing to know in the game we just talked about. We had discussed at the time that we weren't sure the rule with the 2 bonus cards at the end of the preliminary race. They do go to the first place team. The word distribute was just among the 2 players that you have on your team. So there you go. The rich just keep getting richer. We want to thank the folks from Portal Games for answering that, but just a little past when we made the episode. Another thing to note, at the beginning of the episode, I told you about WashingCon in Washington, D.C. This should be coming out on either Friday evening or early Saturday morning. It is right now. It is the 10th and the 11th. Please come out. We would love to see you. We think we're going to be giving some things away. We're going to interview some people. We're going to play games with everybody that wants to play games with us. We might bring some funky food so we could potentially do, if not a What the Food on the air, just a What the Food with a bunch of us staring at food going, hey, what in the world is that? I know Rocky got a bunch of stuff in from her Japan crate, and we might bring a little bit of that with us. So we would certainly love to see you. Remember, the best way to find us for that is to contact us at Party Gamecast, because that will ring both Rocky and I. Speaking of Twitter, which we'll say that we did there a second ago, we had meant to put this episode out a week ago, which is why we told you there was still time in our contest to hashtag I listen to the Party Gamecast, featuring the Party Gamecast, all spelled out. There isn't. The time has passed, and we have drawn a winner. There were nearly 40 entries, which for one of our contests is quite a bit, so we thank you all for giving it a try. Our winner ends up being J. Graphius, at J_IJKLMN, the number 0. So J. Graphius, contact us on Twitter, and we will get your address so we can send you out your prize. We also, I decided that we're going to have a backup prize to Peter Teft at Pair of Wisdom. Send me your address. You sent a cute cat picture with yours, and it made me very happy with the sad cat that looks upset that I did such a long hashtag. However, Cardboard, that's back now, they do a long hashtag. Everybody loves it. Bruce does it. Oh my god, I can't believe you did a long hashtag. But whatever. But Peter Teft, T-E-F-F-T, at Pair of Wisdom, also send a message. I don't know what your prize is going to be. It may be something from the vault that we totally have never played before, but for some reason is inexplicably open that we send you. But we want to thank you for being a part of the contest. So to both of you, to Jay and Peter, please contact us. Jay, you are winning a copy of the Oregon Trail. Peter, we're not sure what you're winning. There also may be a copy of the Oregon Trail up for grabs if you join us at WashingCon. So once again, we would love to have you there. One more bit of business. We are coming into Extra Life season, the fundraiser for the Children's Miracle Network. We always help the Johns Hopkins Children's Hospital. We are teaming up with our friends at Break My Game. I believe I mentioned this at the top of the show. I'm mentioning it again now because the top of the show in real time was about 6 days ago, and we have more details. We will be doing a live event at the Board and Brew in beautiful College Park, Maryland. We will be doing that event November the 5th, starting at 8 a.m. till November the 6th. At 8 a.m. We will be doing events and things. We don't know all about that just yet. We are working on the details, but we do know. We also figured out if you joined us last year, and you may have remembered it was homecoming, and that was terrible. And one person that came got their car towed, and it was not good. This time, Maryland is away at Michigan, I believe, so there's not going to be any of the football issues. We're just going to get to have fun and play games and help the fantastic kids at the Johns Hopkins Children's Hospital. So, we will put details. We would love you to join our team. We would love you to come to our live event. We would love you to donate. Any of those ways you can help, we appreciate. And if you can do none of those, we certainly understand. Let other people know. Let them know about our team. But this year we are the Party Game Cast / Break My Game team. Because the fine folks at Break My Game, I believe at breakmygame.com. But I don't have that in front of me, so it could be a .org for all I know. Look up Break My Game, you'll find them. They help you break your games. They will be there. We're sure there's going to be some demoing, playtesting type things. I'm thinking of trying to get some stuff together for a game show, because I now have a buzzer system. We also realize that they have a giant screen there, so we might try some video gamey type things. We might do some of the Jackbox things that play a lot of people. We got a lot of stuff that we're considering, and as we get closer, we'll let you know. But in the show notes for this should be a way for you to join our team. If not, go to extra-life.org, look up The Party Game Cast, and you will find us. We would love nothing more than to have you on our team, or have you donate, or have you show up live in person. All of those are good, and we would love all of those. So, there we go. Gave you the information about the game tweak we learned about, told you the winners of our contest, thanks for entering, and let you know about Extra Life. I think I've covered everything I'm obligated to cover in the second break here in business time, and now let's get you back to the show. And I welcome you back to the Party Game Cast, featuring the Party Game Cast. We're here talking about our second game of the episode. Dragon and Flagon!
Dragon and Flagon.
The Dragon and Flagon from the fine folks at Stronghold Games, sent over to us from Stephen Bonacore. This one created by the Engelsteins, Brian
Yay.
Sidney, and Jeff Engelstein.
Like the Engelsteins.
Yay.
But Bonacore.
So, Brian, tell us how the Dragon and Flagon works.
All right, so the Dragon and Flagon is apparently the name of a tavern in which this game takes place. It's the game of fantasy tavern brawls, and that is thematically exactly what it is. You're a bunch of basically stereotypical D&D style characters in a tavern. Or not entirely D&D, but fantasy setting characters. You have a mage and a druid and a rogue and a swashbuckler and a monk, and there's 9 different classes.
So what you're saying is this is a fantasy character that could be from anything, all the way from Dungeons and Dragons, all the way to Pathfinder.
Yeah, all the way from 3.5 to 3.75.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, I just want to make sure that it spanned the whole gamut.
At least 3 separate editions of D&D probably contain some of these characters. Yes. So yeah, but it's like your swashbuckler and your whatever aren't as common in D&D, or your monks are but whatever. They're all fantasy role playing characters. You're all in a tavern together. In the tavern, you set up the game. It's just a square board with a little grid, and you set up tables, because it's a tavern. And there's little physical tables that you fold them out of cardboard or whatever. And you put, I guess there's a specific setup for it. You put chairs next to the tables, you put mugs on the tables. And and barrels, probably of rum or something. Who knows what the barrels are of, but they sit around on
Monkeys.
the floor. No, these are not those kind of barrels.
Okay.
And so that's the setup of the
David
board.
Bonacore.
And then in the middle of the room is basically the prize. It's the Dragon Flagon. In the Dragon and Flagon, there's a Dragon Flagon.
No, Brian. In the Dragon and Flagon, there's a Dragon Flagon!
There's a Dragon Flagon.
Yeah.
And it's a big gold mug full of, I guess, magic something.
Juice.
Elixir.
Dragon.
Magic juice.
Dragon juice. And that's basically the goal. Then there's certain yellow squares around the edges of the board where you have to start. You seed your characters at whatever point in the room you want. They're basically all equidistant from the center of the room, obviously, with varying degrees of obstacles between you and the middle of the board. So every player has a deck of 18 cards. You basically picked one of the character classes, and there's a corresponding deck. 13 of those cards are identical for everyone. It's like move, pick up object, throw object, kick, or slash with a weapon. They're all basic, simple attacks or movement. options. And then each class has 5 specific cards that only it can do that give it slightly different abilities to distinguish it from the others. 4 of those are standard action cards. They're attacks or moves or whatever based on your class. Like the Berserker can just spin around with axes and hit everyone, or the mage can cast an arc lightning spell, or the monk can like leap halfway across the room and ignore obstacles because he's so nimble, or whatever, what have you. The rogue can jump behind people and backstab them or something. And then there's one special token that when you get to the Dragon Flagon and pick it up, you get this special card added into your deck temporarily. And then you get a special ability, and it is really strong, whatever it is. And again, it's class specific. Like the monk gets a dragon kick, where he can just move as many spaces as he wants in one direction all the way across the board until he kicks someone and knocks them back and does a massive amount of damage. Or the Berserker for the next so many turns just automatically does spinny axe damage to everything near her, no matter what else. And she also gets to do something else. It's some extra really powerful ability. And that's basically the individual character setup. You go around the outside of the track are time spaces, so they're numbered 1 to like 29, I think.
And there are
1 to 30, and it's based on the number of players, how many of them you actually use. So every time you use an ability, it has a little number in the corner that says it takes this many, essentially, time points. So like if you're doing a more complex move, it'll take you longer to recover. So you'll advance your little token along the time spots around the outside, so you'll be out of action for a couple turns. Like you can do something really awesome, but then you got to sit for a couple rounds to recover. And you can do something quick and easy, and then you're right back into it. So it kind of gives you a trade-off of whenever you want to do something. You have to decide whether the cost benefit is worth it. And everyone starts with 20 reputation. And you have little tokens for that. Whenever you hit someone else, you steal some of their reputation. And so there's a finite amount of reputation. These tokens are being traded back and forth as you hit each other. No one really ever dies. You're just trading reputation. At the end, whoever has the most reputation wins. As you advance, the way to decide who win when the round is over is you advance around the little time track around the outside. There are, based on the number of players, there's a certain number of times up tokens basically that go on the 4 spaces, and you never know which one of those 4 rounds is going to end, so you don't know exactly when it's going to end.
You have some idea, but it's going to be in those 4 rounds, but you don't know which one of them. Yeah, once
the players start advancing to those time rounds, then the game could start, and once it ends, whoever's the most reputation wins at that point. I think that's the basic gist of it. I don't know if I missed any.
Let's note 2 things. Number 1, the game length is not based on the number of players. It's based on whether you want a shorter game or a longer game.
Okay.
We played a shorter game. You could play a longer one. I think a shorter one is a perfectly satisfying experience.
Yes.
I would not have been upset had it gone a little bit longer, just more things would have happened. But playing the short game, you don't feel like you've been cheated of time playing the game.
And it's
Bruce
only
wanted more time to hunt me down.
I wanted more time to hunt Mike down. But
it's like 6 more rounds, which is, 10% longer.
Yes, but that is the difference, is the short game versus the long game. Other thing is the actual way you play this game.
Yes.
Which, this is a pre-programmed movement game.
Yes.
Yeah, oh, sorry, I completely missed that mechanic. You're right.
Oh, that's fine, by all means.
On your little character sheet, when it's your turn, based on that initiative score around, or the time movement piece around the outside of the board, you have your action cards, and you have slots. You always seed the first slot with a face-down action card that will happen on your next turn. When it becomes your turn, you put the card, you take a second action and predict what you expect your next action to be, put it face down. Then you flip your first position action card up and it happens, and then you act that out, whatever it is, attack, move, whatever. And then you move your position 2 card to the position 1, and then you wait until your next turn, and then before your next turn, after everyone else is done, you can react and predict what your next move is. So you are pre-planning your moves without fully knowing how it's going to work. Some of the attacks, if you get hit by someone, will force you to pre-plan more moves, which basically is slowing down your reaction time. And that's the actual turn, is you're playing down a move that you think you're going to want to do next round, and then when next round comes, the status of the board may have changed to where your expected move is not as useful, and you kind of just have to do what you can, and then play your next move and predict your next move and hope that one works.
And I would say if you've ever played Killer Bunnies in the Quest for the Magic Carrot, that is essentially the play here, is you got to put 1-2 ahead, it will eventually cycle in, you'll hope that the board is in some kind of position where you can do something with it. So, let's start talking about this one. Rock, what'd you think of the Dragon and Flagon, or more appropriately said, Dragon Flagon!
The Dragon and Flagon?
See.
Dragon. The Dragoon and Flagoon? No?
I see.
See.
I enjoyed this game. It very much felt like a bar fight because people were just going everywhere and had their own agendas, but you couldn't count on someone else to be there by the time you got there because they're jumping on tables and throwing mugs and flipping tables over and hitting people with lightning.
Yeah, I don't think we're
like
allowed
you
to say
do.
that, are we?
Are we allowed to say what?
Are we allowed to say about the flipping table? Her special ability.
Yeah, her special ability, one of Rocky was what, the Barbarian?
Yes.
Yes, the barbarian has a very special ability.
Yeah, well, it has a couple, but one of them is table flip.
Bants!
Bants!
Bants.
Which is written on the card, and I love that. I think Engelstein pushed for that one. Well, I guess N. Engelstein, but I think Jeff Engelstein.
If an Engelstein pushed for it, that got in.
Yeah. Which I think is awesome. I had seen a picture of that card ahead of time and didn't know if that was a common card or what that is, and did not realize that was a special ability. But yes, Rocky's Barbarian could flip a table, and with that, bants!
And it's actually a very powerful move, too.
Oh, yeah. Pretty much if anyone's on the other side of the table or on top of the table, they get injured and stunned and fall over.
Well, and that's the normal push the table. I noticed after the fact, when you played it, you actually did not use all of the abilities. Because what you do is you flip the table, which moves everything on the table a whole position over, and everything on the other side gets shoved.
Well, that's
so
push the table.
Well, no,
That's
there's
not
the push this table where it shakes it, but it doesn't change where the thing is on the board. The flip the table actually moves the table on the board.
Hey guys, Bruce in the editing bay here. I decided to leave this in because every once in a while we do kind of have these discussions about rules, and then we have to figure out what's going on. This one, there was a good enough discussion leading up to that we're just going to leave it in, and you'll hear that we figure out what the rule is, and we eventually learn how to use a rules book correctly. But just so you know, this is about to be fixed in a second. I just wanted to step in so that the awkward, weird cuts were, I guess, a little less awkward and weird. Well, let's get back to the show. Okay, so we actually just, and I think we might leave some of that exactly as it is and take care of it in post.
Whoops.
Well, we did have to look over some of the cards, and we did realize that one of them was played incorrectly. Now,
Nice job, Self.
so here's the interesting thing, okay?
Yes, self.
Yeah.
And I think this is the difference we can look at in the two games. So, for this game, we made a mistake. It's perfectly fine. No one's mad about it.
But I still conked a ton of people with the table.
You did.
Yes.
You just could have conked them slightly more.
And remove the table.
Yes, and so this one has a couple of things to look at that you have to pay some attention to. There are explanations of how all the special cards work in the back of the book in greater detail should you need them, which I think is the big help. Because what we're noticing here is Rocky just looked over and said, oh, I didn't do that right. Okay. But it's there. We could have figured that out. We didn't have to go look at 3 other places to figure an answer out.
Yeah.
So it was perfectly laid out plenty fine.
Yeah. No, everything is there and findable.
Okay, so beyond being able to flip the table.
Yes. The pre-programming of turns didn't really bother me that much because it was only one turn in advance, pretty much. Like you put 2 cards down. You had to remember those 2. But then after that, you just remember the one that slid over, and then you just put one down. It wasn't that hard to remember the pre-programmed stuff, and it wasn't so far ahead that it didn't apply, usually.
Yeah, unless you ended up getting dazed somehow.
Or
That is
unless
true.
you played the monk/pinata.
So, Brian, you have a different take on this one. So you played the monk, I've heard, /pinata. So,
Well, I think you called it the pinata in the game.
well, I believe I beat it and candy fell out.
Yeah. Well, you were trying to beat it till candy fell out. I don't know if it ever did.
Yeah. So how did you feel about this game? Because you're saying you definitely felt like a target in that one. I don't think you necessarily were intentionally.
I wasn't
But
necessarily.
you were always sort of in the wrong place at the wrong time.
Yes, and some of that was just learning the mechanics and getting used to predicting moves. I actually really liked it. It was a lot of fun. It has a fair amount of the D&D theme to it, but it's not overwhelming as a former D&D player. I like it, but I obviously don't like it enough to still play. So some of that appeals to me, but I don't want to go rolling new characters. So this is kind of familiar and fun. You know, there's some D&D terminology in there that a couple of us picked up on and a couple of us did not, because, you know, depending on our previous experience with D&D. So I thought it was fun. I thought it felt like a bar fight. Like thematically, it was pretty on point. I was beaten up a lot. I think some of that was just getting used to the mechanics. But I definitely would enjoy playing it again. The theme came through strong, and it was just a neat idea. And like we said, the rule book on this, there's a lot of rules because of the chaotic nature of the bar fight. There's a lot of things that can interact in ways that you might not think of ahead of time, but the rulebook seems to have those covered.
And a lot of them are sort of the most thematic way they could be dealt with.
Yes.
You're like, oh, well, that's how I feel like that would be dealt with.
Yeah, and it makes sense. You're like, I think that's probably how it is, but let me check the rulebook, and then the rulebook's like, no, you are exactly right. That is exactly what happens.
Yeah, and I have to say, as the opposite side of the coin, I have a weapons-grade hatred of the fantasy theme.
No.
Yeah.
No.
You don't
My
say.
least favorite of all of the themes.
Man, I haven't heard that before. I wish
Yeah.
I'd known.
But you're so good at when you play D&D.
Really a bunch of hatred for it. That having been said, I had a lot of fun with this because that bar fight part there is very much a part of the game, and that chaotic nature of that bar fight is there, and I don't have to care that I'm a mage or whatever I am. Hey, this is a thing I do. Hey, I do cool stuff. And I don't have to think about it much further than that. It doesn't make me. Whereas you guys are saying, like, oh, well, that's clearly blah-blah-blah from D&D. That's what you're doing. And I'm like, oh, sure.
Yeah.
But I'm not obligated. Nothing in this game makes me have to care about that if I don't want to. Whereas if I do, there's plenty of meat on the bone for me to care about that, or so I have heard. Mike, how do you feel about this one?
Well, I really like this game. As opposed to Crazy Karts, this one I really wanted to play again. Unfortunately, time just prevented that. But I wanted to play this one again. I still want to play this one again. There's Crazy Karts. There's really only 4 teams with 4 different powers, and then there's a lone wolf if you've got an odd number.
Yes.
With this one, there are 9 different characters, and it plays up to 8 players. And there are 2 sides to the board with pirate chests and cookies and all kinds of fun things you can do to change it up. There's way more variety, I feel.
Yes.
And there's just... it's just more fun and chaotic in a fun party game kind of way, although it is a bit gamery for a party game. Once you get into the little tricky rules, like we did not know that flipping the table removed the table. Normally, nothing removes a table, but
Yes.
I guess flipping it will do that. Bance will just take out a table.
Yep. So one thing you talked about with the table flipping over and being removed. Lately, these pre-programmed games, in the ones that I've seen most recently, have done a great job of giving you a ton of kit. Okay, so the one that I think of off the top of my head is Colt Express, which is a pre-programmed game of running up and down a Wild West train, shooting each other and stealing money, and then hoping that the sheriff doesn't stop you. And you build a cardboard train on the table, and there are little pieces that are cactus for no reason, but because they're supposed to be cactus in the desert, and little cattle skulls and stuff for no reason. It's awesome. This did the same thing. You set up little tables and little chairs there. I almost wish the mugs looked more mug-like, but even so, they did make little wood pieces that are sort of look like they would be a gray mug on the table. Kind of not steel, but like a
Little
Pewter.
pewter. Thank you, a
Pewter,
pewter mug on the table.
Yeah.
They did that when you set the thing up. There's little rugs that you set up in.
You can pull the rug out
Yeah,
from
so
under
you can-
people and knock them over.
It's such a cool picture when the whole thing is set up. They did that right. It looks really good on the table. Additionally, on top of the theme kind of coming through for others, for a pre-programmed movement game, I want there to be toys.
There are definitely toys.
There are,
Little
mugs.
and it's fantastic.
tiny little mugs. There's little things on all the table. There's a copy of the game itself on one of the tables in the game after a little meta twist there.
Although seems to have become sort of a thing that happens in games.
Yeah,
where
that's
they
kind
have
of
tables.
the new meta twist.
Yeah.
But you know what? It's really
Cute.
cool. It's a neat idea. A lot of this just feels right. They did it okay here. Like Mike was saying, now the first thing that really impressed me, we talked about this a lot, and I was confused. I kept looking at the box, looking at the guys, looking at the box, looking at the guys, that they actually gave you 9 characters to play an 8-character game.
Yeah.
So that if you were, and I really do think this is coming from a place where gamers that love gaming realize how you're going to handle this game at the table. Okay, Mike, here's the stack of characters. You pick the one you want. Hand them to Brian. Okay, so then when it gets to me and I'm the 8th guy, I at least still have a choice. Maybe my choices got taken, but I'm not locked into something. And there's something really cool about taking the time to make sure in the box, not a Kickstarter stretch goal, not a promo when you buy it from Gen Con, not any other way. In the box, every single copy, that last guy still gets a choice.
And we got to give credit to the Engelsteins and not Stephen Bonacore for that.
Of course. And we thank them for coming up with that. It was brilliant. But there's something about that that's very cool. Also, as Mike was mentioning, the tray of cookies. Apparently, they explain it in the book that originally when they did this, they had like a cookie tray from a doll house that they used.
Really?
That they used as the Dragon Flagon. And if you don't necessarily want to support that, I guess drinking the Dragon Flagon for whatever reason, though, you're okay with throwing the rest of the mugs of beer.
Yeah, if you're okay with violence but not drinking.
Violence and drinking regular mugs. Because one of the characters' special ability is chug.
Yeah. The pirate.
Root beer.
Yeah. Yeah, he just, it's like Popeye. It's a can of spinach. He's chugging the spinach.
Exactly. So that's in there so that you can replace that mug, or you can put both of them in there, and both of them will trigger your dragon power so that people are really beefed up. And then on the opposite side of the board is a pirate scene with 2 boats, and you can get the rules for that. Well, there's a whole riddle on how you get the rules for that.
Yes, which is cute.
Which is cute.
Yeah, it's very hard to figure out.
Yeah, and it's a way to play a second version of this game. There are treasure chests in there that go with it. There really is a lot of versatility in this, and a lot of stuff you can do in such a cool little game.
Yeah.
Rock, we'll go back to you. You taking this to a party?
Well, I would definitely like to play this again. I don't know if I would take it to a party per se, just because the explanation phase was so long of getting everyone to understand all the rules and all the powers and all the things and all the stuff. But I think a group of slightly more intense than a light party type of person would enjoy it.
Okay, so as we like to frame these.
Yes.
So if you're taking it to your group of people that are already playing games, the same thing for the last game, where it's not exactly a party, but it's your friends that have a couple drinks and barbecue and like to play games together, but there's a bunch of them and you don't want to split into 2 games.
Yes.
Okay.
Because it's not heavy, but just learning it takes a minute.
And I think it is definitely more than your hey, we're just here and we're not all gamers, let's pull something out. It definitely is a little more going on than that. Brian, how about you?
I agree. It's not heavy, but it's too much, I think, for just a party game. You're going to lose people if you just break this out into a generic party where people aren't expecting anything more than maybe a Cards Against Humanity type.
Yeah.
Something simple. But I would take this to a group of gamers that was having a party, people who are experienced with rule-heavy games. This is lighter than that.
Certainly.
And thematically, it's fun. So, yeah, I would totally take it to that kind of party.
Okay. How about you, Mike?
I agree. By and large, I agree with everything that's been said. I would say that the issue here, the main issue isn't even the gameplay for the less experienced gamers. It's that hurdle you have to get into to understand it. Once you get playing the game, you go, oh, that's not that hard, and you figure it out. Like, there are a few things, the edge cases and specific cards that you have to look up, but by and large, you're like, oh, well, this isn't that difficult. I put another card down, then I flip the first card over, and I do what it says. Done. Like, it ain't that hard. But the rules and trying to get people into it, it's intimidating to, I would say, probably most of the first-time gamers and the light party gamers.
Yeah.
So this is more of a gamer's party game. But yes, I would bring it to those people, absolutely. And as I said before, I do want to play this again.
And I think we're going to have an opportunity, because I think I'm going to bring this to Washington with us on the 10th and the 11th in beautiful Washington, D.C., because I think this is going to be one of those games you're going to see at cons.
Beautiful Georgetown, Washington, D.C.?
In picturesque Georgetown, Washington, D.C. I do believe this is one to bring there. I think we can find 8 people that want to give it a try. I do think this is going to become a big con game that people are going to play. It just has that feel where it
could be,
just light enough that you might play it after a long day and you're a little tired, or you've had a drink or two, but you had a drink or two and you're the kind of person who plays longer. You're the kind of person that would be at a board game convention.
Yes, and this is one of those things where once you get, and I hate to put it this way, but punchy later at night at the con, you've been playing heavy games all day, and you're sort of zoning out a little bit, and things are getting kind of goofy, and you're starting to talk smack to people a lot more. You're less like hardcore. I want to win this game. You're just I want to have fun. This is the game you want to pull out.
Yeah, and they said one of those suggested rules is, so normally you can look at your cards you've put down anytime you want to. For, quote, late-night convention rules, you can't look at a card after you put it down. So that your own tiredness / inebriation might become your worst problem playing this game, as you do not remember what your plan was.
Yeah, especially if you get dazed. Because then you planned it well in advance. It's been even longer since you put that down. Goodness knows what it could have been.
You can't even there's only there's 18 possible cards. Some of them are dupes. I can probably guess what the missing one is. Well, there's 3 of them down there. Man, I can maybe figure out what 3 of them are, but I don't know what order they're in.
Indeed. Yeah. And I would say for that sort of thing, I don't want to take it to non-gamers. Maybe if people played a couple of games, I'm willing to bring this in. It's not that hard to understand. But I agree, you can't spring this on, your next cotillion you go to. No one's
Lordy.
Lordy.
Oh no, I would never bring this.
No coming out parties.
No coming out parties. No. Yeah, no one's ready for that. However, if you have a group of people that already play games, that's something they're comfortable with. A lot of the parties I go to, like as a matter of fact, I went to a party of a friend of Mike's. I would not have hesitated to bring this there. Gamers, it would have been great. It would have let all 7 or 8 people that were there play at the same time.
But at the same time, they had like Twilight Imperium on their shelves.
And that's exactly what we're looking at.
You were not going to intimidate those gamers.
No, and those gamers, it was late. It was getting to like 2 a.m, and they were getting a little punchy and wanted something that was maybe a little bit lighter, but could have taken that. It was perfect for that. A lot of times we see all over Twitter, hey, my game group needs a game that plays over 7. But we don't play party games because, no, we just don't do that. The party games are awful. I think this would be perfect for that sort of group, and I think they would super-duper enjoy it.
Yeah, it allows you to yell at your friends and throw things at them, but not actually throw things at your friends.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I think this is another big hit, and the rules made sense, and even the problems that we had as we were sitting here talking about it, everything was there. We just didn't realize it. So I think really... Some great stuff here from the fine folks at Stronghold Games. I think if we covered all this, we feel good about this, yeah?
I think so.
Okay.
I feel about yes.
One other thing.
Words
yes.
Bonacore!
So, and with that, we thank you for listening to the Party Gamecast, featuring the Party Gamecast, the podcast about party games, shaped parties. Your moderator, Bruce, joining me on the show has been Rocky,
Swedish,
Brian,
Dragon and Flagon,
and Mike.
Fish,
Mike. And we want to thank you for listening. We do think we're going to try something new in between this episode and the next episode. There might be like a preview episode that'll be like 5 minutes of me talking to you for a second, letting you know the next games we are going to cover. We will also be putting pictures of those on Twitter. Please let us know how you feel, questions you have, things you want to know about those. We got a lot of positive, hey, we want you to talk about the games, but we didn't really get questions other than which one is better in milk. And we decided we wouldn't dunk any of them in milk because we kind of want to see how they work out.
Well, no, the Dragon and Flagon clearly are the better in milk because they've got the plate of cookies in it.
Oh, yeah.
Fair. You know what? You're absolutely. And then the other question I was asked was, and let's cover this here at the end. Which of the Oreos would you most want to take to the Dragon and Flagon?
Blueberry pie were the only edible ones.
Yeah, those are the only ones that I would want to take anywhere that wasn't like... Yeah. Well, considering that I'm getting into a bar fight, maybe I would give the Swedish fish to everyone, and that's what starts the bar fight. They're just angry at me.
That's why they hate you so much.
Shove it in someone's face, and they recoil while you take the opportunity to punch them.
I would chuck key lime pie Oreos at people.
So there you go. Nick Shaw, who asked us on Facebook about that. Apparently, key lime pie to shove in someone's face. But if we're actually taking to the Dragon and Flagon to eat earlier in the night before the fight breaks out, the only ones that we had of any value for that were blueberry pie, yeah. Our theme was provided by Shifty Pop. You can find her on Fiverr. She sure does things that sound like our theme. You might, if that's a thing you want, I would say you go talk to her. That's probably a good idea. We would like to thank...
What was that?
That was my endorsement. That was my awesome endorsement. That was because she's pretty awesome. She did a really awesome thing for us.
Yes, but
Yeah.
That seemed forced.
Yeah,
That
find
was
her.
Wonderful.
oh, that was
Find her on
terrible.
find her on Fiverr.
Yeah, that was so sarcastic. It
It didn't really mean to be.
It really sounded like
I
it.
I guess if you want some crap like the crap that we got with the crap.
I didn't really mean it to be
Yeah,
quite
that was not
No, you
complimentary.
didn't mean it, but it sounded like, I guess if you want something that sounds like that nonsense that we somehow wound up with, I guess you could go get some of that from her. Because that's what all of her crap sounds like, is like that.
Our theme was done by Shifty Pop. You can find her on Fiverr. If you want to get a toy-tastic theme, I think she's probably the person to talk to. I don't know if there are other people in the toy-tastic theme industry.
And why would you? Because we have Shifty Pop, who's awesome.
We don't need any more.
We stopped looking.
We also want to thank the fine folks at Steamworks Coffee at steamworkscoffee.net for supporting What the Food. What the Food. We thank you very much for that. And let's go through one more time all the ways you can contact us on Twitter.
At Party Game Cast.
You can contact the cat who's climbing behind me.
At Party Game Cast.
You can find us on Facebook, like Nick Shaw did.
At
Facebook.
At Facebook. You can find us on the Guild at Board Game Geek, which people aren't really showing up to, but I wish you would. That'd be nice, because I check it. I know, we're not very active. We're working on that. You can also email me directly at thepartygamecast@gmail.com. You can call us on the hotline at 30PARTYGAME, 30PARTYGAME. Just feel free to leave off that last E for savings. We're okay with that. No one's going to hold it against you. I guess unless you want us to, then maybe we would. Once again, we'll be at WashingCon the weekend of the 10th and the 11th. All of us will be there, and Mom. We would love to see you. Remember, contact us on Twitter if you want to play games with us. We'll have the Dragon and Flagon with us. Dragon and Flagon.
And others.
And others and things. And we thank you very much for listening. Man. Yeah.
That is just groveling for listeners.
As exactly
This is the fan service episode. We are servicing the fans.
Yes, we are, Mike.
Yeah, we are.
What?
Hi, Rocky.
That would explain my outfit today.
It would. And
Too bad it's a
it's a
podcast.
shame it's
too
a
bad it's
podcast.
Yeah, not a visual medium, because you're missing out.
Yeah, you are. Waka 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 waka. Sorry about that, folks. We might even see if that gets cut or not. That might not make it. That might make it to the end of the episode.
That at least needs to be in the outtakes, if not in the episode. That needs to be in there.
that might be exactly where that's going.
The great thing is that Bruce and I were both doing the hand gesture to go along with it.
Again, podcast.
Yeah, no, nobody gets it. That's fine. That's why this goes to the end of the episode where people can imagine: is she wearing like a Pac-Man outfit?
I mean, that's the
Halloween
implication.
She's actually dressed up like a giant Pac-Man.
Is she at least just up like Ms. Pac-Man with the bow?
No, she's got headphones on.
Yeah,
Yeah.
You couldn't wear the bow with those.
No.
Yeah, all of this. Just want to have to.
Actually just painted yellow.
So,
Oh, man, the fan service.
absolutely.
You're welcome.
Services.
Oh my goodness.
Wow.
DTNC. Just so we're clear.
Because that's what was missing. A Polar Bears Cafe reference is what this needed.
Oh.
Wow, let's get this back on board, folks.
Can't-
To go now.
Scale of 1 to fun, it was not.
Okay.
That one can stay in.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
Not. I would definitely play this a game. In fact, let me try that again.
okay.
Play this a game. That's the thing.
I had to play this game.
I play this again.
a game.
That's the other game.
Very nice.
That's the other game. I'm gonna win.
Oh, God.